This is the world's largest beetle, and this is my finger. And in this video, I'll be putting to the test how strong these beetles really are. And I'll also be showing you the craziest centipede species, insane alien-looking bugs, and so many other cool insects, starting with an assassin bug.
Yup, assassin bugs. And if that sounds deadly, it's because they kinda are, but they also are kinda cool. Let me show you why.
So I let these assassin bugs loose into a little enclosure I built for them, and now you can get a clear look at them. What makes these creatures so cool is if you look here, they have this super weird sharp mouthpiece. This is called a rostrum, and using it, they can pierce into their prey, inject a special kind of digestive enzyme venom into the prey, then using the rostrum, they slurp the insides of the prey up like a smoothie. It's insane stuff. And as you can see, I have multiple of these guys because I got a special kind of species that are able to live and hunt together.
You probably see why they're called assassin bugs now. So let's feed them a cricket and document their hunting.
Now I knew this wasn't gonna last long because assassin bugs are some of the best hunters out there. And I was right, because immediately this unlucky cricket happened to climb up the very piece of bark that all the assassin bugs were hiding under. And one of them was on the lookout and instantly spotted the cricket. Now it was time to hunt. Like real assassins who move super stealthily, assassin bugs do the same exact thing. And this guy extremely slowly inched towards his target, and as the gap slowly closed, the assassin waited for the perfect opportunity to pounce onto the cricket, who was now in the grasp of the assassin bug. Right away, you can see the rostrum pierce into the cricket, and yeah, the inside of this cricket is now being turned into a juicy smoothie for this assassin bug to slurp up. Yep. Sounds yummy.
All right, let me get this lid on. I don't want these guys biting me in my sleep or anything.
Okay, the next insect species is one I've been holding off on getting for a while, but it's a centipede.
Yep, I finally got one, even though they're all extremely venomous, but oh boy, let me show you this guy.
Yeah, I didn't get a small one either. I got one of the largest species in the United States, a giant Texas red-headed centipede. And as you can tell, these guys are pretty evil, because right away he started to try and climb the sides of the container to escape, which I definitely wouldn't want, because, well, we all know the infamous Coyote Peterson who gets stung and bit by everything. Well, he got bit by a very similar centipede to this, and yeah, based off his reaction, you could probably tell it's something I want to try and avoid, probably.
Just cut the cameras. But it's definitely worth the risk, because I get to show you guys how insane of a pet they are. Let me get them in this enclosure.
Now, these guys usually live in desert environments, so we're going to use a bit of sand for this enclosure, but also a solid mix of dirt and other natural stuff, because it's actually what gives them the best conditions in their enclosure. Then we want to give this guy some nice natural stuff to hide under, and finally a couple skulls in here to signify how deadly these guys are to other insects.
All right, let's get this centipede in the enclosure. And please don't bite me too. That would be much appreciated. But, oh, he's just gonna go crawl out. Oh, it's actually pretty gentle. Go on. Yep, go crawl out. Go on. Yep, just like that. Oh, yeah.
Anyways, this dude immediately got to walking around his enclosure, and what makes these guys so cool is obviously how many legs they have. They're called centipedes because centa means 100, and they basically got like 100 legs. But not exactly 100, because I actually did count how many legs this guy had, and it was only 40. So yeah, their name is a lie. It's not 100, but I mean, it's still a lot.
It's so cool to watch these guys walk around, but it's even cooler to watch them eat. So you already know, I got a cricket. And let's not waste any time. Let's drop this thing in here.
And oh, things immediately were interesting, because I dropped the cricket directly next to the centipede's face. But thankfully for the cricket, the centipede was distracted, and so the cricket walked straight past his face and kind of just walked onto his body. And then he kind of just started to ride it like a train. Dang, bro, you gotta be careful, because this train is, well, it's definitely about to eat you, bro. I'm just gonna be honest. And I was correct, because only 30 seconds later, the centipede once again came across the cricket, and this time, the centipede definitely saw him. And so the centipede started to follow in the direction the cricket ran. And so I also followed the centipede with my camera, and that's when I saw the two met again. And this time the centipede made his attack. The cricket tried to escape through the logs, but as I looked around the corner, it's pretty clear the cricket wasn't able to escape, because he was now in the grasp of this insane apex predator of the desert and was getting munched up. Good job, centipede. Even though you are a little bit creepy, it's actually super cool to watch you hunt. Okay, we're coming up on the world's largest beetle, and testing how strong they are. However, I still gotta show you the next crazy insect pet on the list, which is a giant millipede.
Now, the reason I'm showing a millipede right after showing the centipede is because they're very similar in a lot of ways, but they're also very different in a lot of ways.
Now, the first way they're different is, well, you know how centipedes have that absolutely bonkers bite like I was talking about that's just extremely painful? Well, millipedes are basically the exact opposite, and they're some of the most friendliest creatures of all time.
And to demonstrate that, I'm gonna let this thing crawl on me. And oh my gosh, the sensation of like these 300 tiny little legs crawling on my hand is just so weird. I don't even know how to describe it.
But if I had to, I would just say it's a very tickly, because as you can see, each one of the legs on the millipede is almost kind of sharp, which lets it get a really good grip with what it's standing on. But yeah, it's just such a weird feeling. I even let this guy crawl on this cool snake plushie I had sitting around. And wait a second, this isn't any ordinary snake plushie. This is the brand new Terra Green snake plushie that just released today. This new Terra Green snake plushie is a massive 36 inches long, and it's awesome because it has the channel logo engraved all over it, and it's very derpy looking. And since you guys have been asking for plushies for a long time, I'm not only dropping this snake, I'm also releasing this super duper cute axolotl plushie with it. And of course, we got the logo engraved on this guy too, as the blush on the cheeks. It's so cool.
And since the snake is so long, it's kind of fun to play around with. I just swing it around my dog and wrap it around him and stuff. So I'll remind you guys again at the end of the video, but they just dropped today. So yeah, I don't know when they're gonna sell out. We only made a limited amount. So seriously guys, thank you for supporting the merch. It means so much. But seriously, let's actually get back to the bugs. I got some insane insects still planned for this video. Check them out on the store though. Yeah, let's go though.
But you see, I didn't just get some lame millipede for this video. I balled out and got the most massivest millipede of all time, called a giant African millipede, which yeah, isn't really a very creative name. They just kind of said it's giant, where it's from, and that it's a millipede. But yeah, I'm not gonna complain. I guess it's easy to remember.
Now, there's just one problem because the place I bought this from specifically said in the description, do not use cocoa fiber. Now, if you didn't know, cocoa fiber is basically like the holy grail of dirt for terrarium builders. It's just like a special kind of dirt that holds humidity very well, I guess. But yeah, it's like unheard of to not use this in a build. Like I've literally never made a build without this. Like what the heck, bro?
So since cocoa fiber was all I had, I drove to the greatest store of all time behind Walmart, Petco, of course. And there I got the special kind of dirt that is not cocoa fiber, but I also got some of this mulch stuff, which is like wood chips, and a bit of moss. But for the secret ingredient for the millipede tank, it's this thing, which I'll show you very soon. So when I got back home, I started mixing together all my new dirt materials. All these materials I chose are specifically designed to hold just as much moisture as the cocoa fiber, if not more, which as you can see, makes this super duper moisty.
All right, it's perfect that it's now super wet because if it was too dry, the millipede would not survive very long. They dry out super easily. So yeah, I'll have to spray this thing a lot to make sure it's always nice and moist.
But since we have to keep this so wet, mold might actually grow on the sides of the enclosure. That's where my secret ingredient comes in.
I got springtails. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you probably don't think it's that cool, but bruh, I mean, I still think they're cool, okay? Be free, boys.
Yeah, springtails are just these super tiny white bugs that will go around and clean up mold if it grows. So yeah, they're perfect. Finally, I just put in some tiny bits of cork bark around to decorate the place and add some cover.
There we go. This is a fantastical millipede enclosure. Let's go ahead and get this guy inside. Be free, boy. I hope you like your new home. Spent a long time on it. Well, I only spent like 10 minutes on it, but yeah, I hope you like it.
Anyways, after he felt comfortable enough, he uncurled up from his ball and got to exploring around his enclosure. Now, there's not really much to talk about with these guys, unfortunately, because they kind of just walk around and don't do much else. The main thing that makes them cool and also similar to centipedes is the crazy amount of legs they have. And the average millipede has way more legs than a centipede, as you can see. Very nice. Yeah, my guy just wandered around the enclosure for like 30 minutes, but eventually, once he feels comfortable enough, he'll start to burrow under the floor like you could see in this footage. And he'll basically just chill there for like 90% of his life, just eating the dead organic matter or something. I don't really know, but yeah, they're pretty cool. Anyways, next up on the list, I actually got something very interesting I've never showed on the channel before. A Vinegaroon.
This is the closest thing to a mutant creature on Earth I think there is. And it's extremely cool. I'll show you why.
Yeah, you heard that right. A mutant creature. And the reason I say that is because look at this thing. It straight up has the body and claws of a scorpion, a tail that looks like a rat tail, and these weird antenna things that lobsters have. Yeah, this thing is weird.
But probably the weirdest thing about this creature is in its name, because it's called a Vinegaroon, and if you separate the words in there, there's vinegar and oon.
Now, I don't know what the oon part of its name means, to be honest, but the reason it has a vinegar in its name is because this creature has the ability, when threatened, to arch its back up and shoot a special acid type of vinegar out of it to spray all over the threat, potentially blinding them so the Vinegaroon can get away. And yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And I'll be showing you guys exactly what that looks like. Let's get him in his enclosure so we can show it off. This one should work pretty well.
Now, the build is pretty simple for these guys, and thankfully I can use cocoa fiber again. Phew. But yeah, I filled about 1/3 of the way up with dirt, and then I scattered some pieces of wood and bark around. This time I wanted to add some greenery, so I tore up bits of this moss and spread that around. I love this stuff because while it might look pretty dry right now, all it needs is a nice little spray to come back to life. And yeah, this stuff will just grow super fast over time as long as I keep this enclosure nice and moist.
Anyways, Mr. Vinegaroon, this is your new home. Hopefully you like it. Let me just gently release you. Go on, can you walk out? Ooh. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
And yeah, immediately after putting this dude inside, he ran straight up to the glass to get a nice little drink of water off the droplets sitting there. It was pretty cool to see him using his claws to shovel the drops of water into his mouth. So yeah, dang, I guess he was pretty thirsty.
Oh yeah, bro, I almost forgot. Let me get a water dish in there. Dude, that guy was thirsty. He instantly went and tried to get some water, so I'm just gonna go put that one nice in the corner.
So yeah, I filled that up with a bit of water. With creatures like Vinegaroons, you want to make sure their water dishes are very shallow, because they're not super smart. If their water dish was too deep, they might fall in and drown. So yeah. But anyways, my guy was having a lot of fun exploring around his new enclosure.
All right, now I want to check out if this guy's gonna try and eat. Maybe he'll even shoot his acid, I don't know, but they are nocturnal, so yeah, I mean, he might not even eat at all. But you already know, I got a little cricket. Crickets love me, obviously. Let's drop this guy in. Bye-bye.
I dropped a cricket directly next to the Vinegaroon, so some action could theoretically happen right away. But if you've seen my other videos with nocturnal animals like scorpions, you'd probably know that they straight up just like to not eat during the day. Yeah, they'd rather let insects crawl right next to their mouth instead of eating them, apparently. But with this Vinegaroon, it was a different story, because right after a minute of the cricket standing next to him, I noticed he actually started to strike towards the cricket to actually try and eat it. That means this Vinegaroon was in hunting mode. And the next time the cricket came by, I noticed the Vinegaroon use his little antenna to locate the location of the cricket, and then he walked over to strike it again. But unfortunately, he also missed once again. However, a bit later, I noticed that the Vinegaroon had found the little water dish I put in there for him. He then proceeded to walk into the water to take a little bath, and I guess he was getting a bit more of a drink too, but the cricket was directly next to him still. And when the two creatures got a little bit closer, the Vinegaroon once again struck and missed, but this time he was not going to give up and chased the cricket down to finally get a hold of it, all while splashing around in the water. But dang, bro now had an absolutely delicious, juicy cricket in his grasp, and yeah, he just started devouring it. Good catch, bro. I was not expecting that during the day.
Now, unfortunately, he didn't use his acid vinegar spray thing, and that's because I think they only use that for defense, and obviously I don't want to stress this guy out, so I'm not going to force him to do it, but I will show you guys this very cool footage of them doing it. Watch this.
So basically, like I was saying earlier, they arch their abdomen up, aim their tail up too, and boom, the vinegar sprays out right there. It's pretty cool to see it spray out, and it also has absolutely insane aim. Like here, the Vinegaroon was able to spot on, hit the tweezers that was holding it, so basically any sort of predator in the wild will know not to mess with this thing if it gets sprayed. It's a genius ability from the Vinegaroon. But yeah, I put a lid on this enclosure, and boom, this is a pet Vinegaroon. Now it's time for the real reason we're here, to test how strong beetles really are. And of course, I have the largest beetle species in the world, but I also have this one with insanely sharp mandibles, and this one that's pretty tiny, but it also has mandibles as well.
Now, I'll be starting with the smallest beetle and testing the weakest objects in this guy's mouth. As the beetles get bigger, the objects will get bigger too. Until at the end, I'm gonna be putting my finger in this guy's mouth. Thankfully though, I get to start with this little guy. It's a lot nicer.
This is called a rainbow stag beetle. And while it's the smallest beetle I have, it's still pretty insane looking because if you look very closely, it actually is a shiny purple color. There's not that many animals that have a purple color like this, so yeah, it's pretty cool. And I already built this guy a little enclosure, so I put him inside. Even though this place is pretty small, that's exactly how they like it because they kind of just chill around all day and don't really move much.
Now, the first object I'm going to test with this guy is a little pack of jelly. Technically, this won't test their strength, but I just want to show you how they eat because it's actually pretty interesting.
Now, beetles like this are cool because while they got their mandibles here, this is actually not their mouth. Their mouth is actually under the mandibles or right here. So yeah, that's where they eat. The reason they have mandibles is so in the wild, the males can fight each other and whoever wins the fight gets to go home with the female beetle. It's pretty interesting. But anyways, I went and put the jelly right in front of this guy. And these guys love sweet stuff like jelly or fruit. And in fact, I think this jelly is banana flavored, which is one of the beetle's favorite foods. So I thought this dude was just gonna start devouring it up right away. But in fact, he seemed kind of defensive and actually started attacking it with his mandibles. But after I really kind of started to shove it in his face, I think he got a little taste of it and then he seemed very happy because he actually started to then eat it, and it's actually very cool to see how their mouth works. Yeah, he really just sucked all the juiciness out of this thing.
So let's close this for now and let's actually go and get out our second beetle, which is this guy, and he has way bigger mandibles.
This is called a giraffe stag beetle. So yeah, this is also a stag beetle like the one before, but a slightly different version with these way larger mandibles that if you actually look at them are also way sharper. And yeah, they should be able to easily crush stuff way stronger than the previous beetle. And of course, I already got this dude's enclosure built, so I put him in as well.
All right, now for the object for this guy to crush, I've got a little piece of cardboard. Oh, also, I'm gonna take the beetle out of the enclosure for this experiment. Let's go.
So I didn't waste any time, and I just went and put this piece of cardboard in this dude's mandibles. And he sort of started to close his mandibles on it, but I'm not gonna lie, it was a kind of lackluster effort. I even tried putting it in at different angles to see if he could actually crush it, but yeah, he wasn't really doing a good job. So I decided to give him an easier object to crush, a paper towel. Surely he could at least make a hole through this with his insanely sharp mandibles. But yet again, even after putting it right at the super sharp part, yeah, it didn't really make much of an impact, to be honest.
Bruh, nah, these beetles got the most intimidating mandibles. Oh, he just almost bit me. But bro, you can't even bite through cardboard or even a paper towel, bro. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. What are these mandibles for? You can't even bite through this stuff? No, I'm just kidding though. These are actually insane creatures. They're super cool. Let me get this guy back in his enclosure. Anyways, what I'm really excited about is testing this bad boy's bite. Well, I mean, I'm not actually that excited. I do gotta put my finger in here, but let's just do this.
Yep, it's finally time for the craziest and also largest beetle in the world. A Hercules beetle.
You guys have no idea how hard it was for me to get my hands on one of these. They were out of stock everywhere and I had to message so many people, but I finally did. It was super expensive, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, these guys live in the South American rainforests, and unlike other beetles in this video, they literally have fur on them. Yeah, that's how you know they're exotic. But that's not even mentioning they have these absolutely bonkers mandibles. Cause of what? The mandibles are basically like double the size of the body.
And I got a pretty solid sized enclosure for this guy, but I'll once again be doing this test outside the tank since they're so massive.
Now, before I put my finger in the mandibles, I first got something very close to a finger to find out the real damage I was about to face.
Yeah, I got a carrot, because you know, whenever I see videos of people like testing their fingers and stuff like car door windows or something, they always use a carrot first as like a good representation of what it's like before a finger. Bro, imagine he just chops clean through this carrot, and then I'm gonna have to put my finger in right after that. Jeez.
Anyways, I went and put the carrot in the mandibles without wasting any time. And guys, to be honest, I was kind of expecting this to rip through the carrot because they just look vicious. But after moving the carrot over tons of different parts of the mandibles, the most the beetle did was give a very light pinch to the carrot. And yeah, all it took was a bit of wiggling to get the carrot out.
Bruh, wait a second. I'm not even scared to do this anymore. Yo, that thing barely affected this carrot. I'm just gonna put my finger in right now. Hercules beetle, you don't even scare me. Let's do this.
So without wasting time, I just put my finger in. Found the perfect position to get pinched in the best way, and then the beetle started to close his horn mandible. There are billions of lizards alive across the world, but out of all of them, one species stands out as unique.
What the hell, what?
Chameleons. You see, chameleons have the ability to be bred to have extremely rare color patterns, like a literal rainbow. But I just came across the rarest color variation that I have never seen before. This beautiful red and blue chameleon that literally looks like a Nintendo Switch. Just to represent how rare this is, let's say there's a billion lizards on Earth and about 1,000 of those are a chameleon with this exact color morph. That would mean there is a 0.0000001% chance of this existing. And sure, it may cost $899, but this is gonna easily be one of my coolest pets ever. And once I get it, I'll show off some special abilities of chameleons that many of you have probably never seen before. But it's gonna take a few days until it gets shipped out to my house. So in the meantime, I probably should build up an enclosure for the chameleon with everything it could possibly need to live an amazing life. And of course, to build that, I'm gonna need the giant 120-gallon terrarium and hundreds of dollars worth of supplies. But to start the build, the only thing we actually need is some dead leaves and bark. You see, to make the floor for a chameleon, you don't want to use normal materials like dirt. This is because chameleons have these special tongues that when they're shot out, they'll pick up stuff like dirt on the floor and eat it, which will make the chameleon sick. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. So even though this floor is super simple, it's actually perfect. But of course, the rare Nintendo Switch chameleon I'm getting is gonna need a lot more than this in his enclosure. Yeah, this is just definitely not enough. So for step number 2, I got a whole bunch of wooden branches. Now, as you can see, I installed these 2 metal bars going across the enclosure, which I'll start by covering in the branches I have. I made sure to make the branches reach all along the top of the enclosure, the bottom, the sides, and literally everywhere. And after they were secured in place with zip ties and foam, I covered up most of that ugly stuff with some moss and leaves. So it doesn't look like a 5-year-old made this anymore. I also got a bunch of these vine things, which are basically these long bendable rubber sticks that recreate the look of jungle vines, and they curve all around the enclosure. Okay, if I'm being honest, this does look a little bit cluttered and messy right now, but trust me, coming up in this video, I got some stuff planned that's gonna make this actually look good and be an actually good enclosure. And plus, all these branches and vines are actually very necessary to allow the chameleon to climb and swing around the entire enclosure. And don't worry guys, because I'll be getting plants to cover up these big ugly foam things in the corner. Speaking of plants, I should probably put some in here since that's the next step to finishing this amazing home. But I don't have any right now, so I'm gonna go to the plant store. Now, of course, I drove to Walmart, as always, to buy my plants. And the plant section was actually amazing this time. I mean, they had a way better selection than they usually do. Just look at all of them. Oh my gosh, are you guys seeing this? $15 for this giant plant. Okay, that is actually a super good deal. You're only gonna see deals like that at Walmart. That is why I come here, guys. So I picked out all the plants the rare chameleon could possibly want and brought them home. Alright, so obviously I've got plants now, but you'd be stupid if you think I'm just gonna put these straight into the enclosure. Oh, no. I'm going to make these plants way, way better. And what I mean by that is I'm gonna make them look extra cool with some animal-safe red and blue paint. Yeah, I'm gonna paint these plant pots to be the same color as the chameleon I'm getting. I don't know why, I just think it'll look cool, okay? Yeah, I did this on every plant pot. It took forever. But after letting the paint dry for a few hours, I started to scatter the plants along the floor and sides of the enclosure. And in no time, I was done. And check this out. This looks, I mean, it looks alright. I mean, the plants and everything look fine, but maybe the blue and red pots were not the best idea. The paint kind of started to fade. It's not even blue anymore, but it's still pretty funny, and I bet the chameleon's gonna like to see some of the stuff of his same color. So, anyways, I gotta get to the next step. Let's just go to the next step right now. Let's go to the next step. Okay, anyways, on the to-do list, there's 2 more steps to make this a chameleon dream home, starting with some basic technology. And what this means is I've got a bunch of technology like this light bulb, which is necessary, but to be honest, it's nothing special. This light bulb in specific generates heat, and as you can see right in the basking spot under the heat lamp, it reaches up to 90 degrees, which is perfect. And of course, in a cooler part of the enclosure, it reaches about 70 degrees, so the chameleon won't get too hot or nothing. You know, we don't want the chameleon to get heat stroke. But another basic technology you need is a long UVB light bulb, which recreates the same UV rays the sun does. And basically, this lets the chameleon get vitamin D or something. It's pretty complex biology stuff, but it's very important. And finally, I set up a simple water misting system, which, you know, you just press a button and it starts spraying water all around the enclosure. Yeah, pretty simple, but it's very necessary. Okay, well, now that the boring technology is over, let's get some fun, custom, advanced technology in this enclosure. At the start, I got this big, cool blue thing. You see, earlier at Walmart, I saw these toys that were apparently made by the YouTuber Mr. Beast. And, you know, I love Mr. Beast, so I bought this egg-looking one, which I had an idea for how I could use in the chameleon enclosure. So I pressed a button to open it up, and inside was, this thing. What the heck is this? Okay, I guess inside there's a Mr. Beast toy that makes that annoying noise. Well, I don't really know what I was expecting, but I guess let me just put this inside the chameleon enclosure, and there we go. If you're wondering why I put this in here, well, I was just thinking I want to give the chameleon a nice friend, and, you know, this is kind of animal looking thing, so, okay, I'm sorry, this is stupid. Let's just go to the next technology. And now next on the to-do list, this one is even cooler than the last. All right, so for the second thing I'm adding in here, basically, I just wanted to make it look more like a home. And as you know, most homes have paintings around their house because that's just what homes have. So I'm gonna add my own custom painting inside of here. And to get the custom image made, I asked AI to make a picture of a red and blue chameleon wearing a suit. And, oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Wait, okay, we're gonna put this painting inside the chameleon's home. Oh, this is gonna be pretty cool. So I drove to the printing store and printed the image out, hoping no one around me would see me getting these stupid looking paintings. Bruh. And there we go. Check it out. This looks pretty. I mean the painting looks kind of cool, but I don't really know why I added this either. It's a little useless, but anyways, this entire enclosure is actually pretty much finished. I don't know anything else I can add to it, so I guess it's just time to add the rare red and blue chameleon inside. Let's just cut to then. So as you can see, I got the lizard right here, and I don't know what I'm doing outside. I should probably just go put him in the enclosure. So I opened up the package and immediately was amazed by its beauty. Oh my gosh, this thing looks super cool. Okay, wait, this is easily gonna be my coolest looking pet. The only thing to do was open the lid and let it crawl out when it was ready. And of course, it went straight to doing its stupid chameleon dance.
Well, what the hell, boy?
Now, as you can see, the colors on it right now are sort of darker than what they should be. And that's because currently it's a bit stressed from just getting out of the shipping container. Coming up, I'll be explaining exactly how chameleons change color and why by showing you guys this rare lizard. But for now, I want to show the amazing ability that chameleons have to hunt prey from literally across the enclosure. Now, you guys may not know this, but chameleons actually love crickets. Like literally all my other pets, and crickets are pretty healthy for chameleons, so yeah, that's what I'm gonna be feeding him today. So I waited a few hours before putting any crickets in to allow the chameleon to adjust to his new home. And as you can see, soon enough, his color started to brighten up, and that means he's ready to hunt. Come on, crickets, get out, get out. There we go. Yeah, get out. I put a few of the crickets inside, and at first, they sort of just started to mind their own business, just walking around looking for food, you know. But little did they know that they are about to become food for this guy.
Hi, how are you?
Now, the first ability chameleons have for hunting is their eyes. As you can see, both of his eyes are able to move in different directions, constantly scanning everywhere around him in front and behind at the same time. And it wasn't long until the chameleon set one of his eyes on one of the little crickets. He started to move into attack position very slowly. Yeah, chameleons are so slow, they're basically sloths. And while this cricket thought he was safe, little did he know what was about to happen. Chameleon's second ability, their insane tongue that's over a foot long. Yeah, whenever this chameleon was within a couple feet of a cricket, it locked onto the target and shot its tongue directly towards it. And because the tongue is so sticky, it just brought the cricket in with it so it could enjoy a nice, tasty meal. And after seeing how cool it was when the chameleon hunted, I got a funny idea. Okay, you see this cricket here? I'm gonna get this onto my hand like that. And then I'm literally gonna try and feed the chameleon from my hand. You can see it's right there. It just jumped off. Okay, take two. We're gonna put this right next to the chameleon's mouth. And there we go, that's the perfect spot. Eat it, bro. Eat it. I want to see this thing eat from my hand so bad. It's literally right in front of you. Hello? You're just gonna watch it? It's crawling all around my hand. You have the perfect opportunity, and you're not doing it. And, okay, I think the chameleon's just walking away at this point. I guess he doesn't really want to eat from my hand. I'm sorry, cricket, but I'm just gonna... You're gonna get eaten. Anyways, I should probably name this rare chameleon, and like I said earlier, this thing has the exact same colors as a Nintendo Switch. So I'm gonna name my chameleon... Switch. Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty creative name, I know. Anyways, now I'm gonna show you guys exactly how chameleons change color, and it might actually be pretty surprising to some of you. But quickly, I just want to tell you guys that since the last video, you've increased the amount of people subscribed from 5% to 6%, which is okay improvement, but let's get this to like 50%. So please, if you're enjoying this video at all, just scroll down and click subscribe. Now, anyways, you might have seen me show you guys this video of a chameleon changing colors. And while this viral video is actually very cool to watch, it is completely fake. Yeah, chameleons can't actually control their colors like that, and in reality, they only have the ability to become slightly darker or slightly brighter. This happens because of super tiny cells in their skin that can get bigger or smaller depending on certain conditions like heat. You see, when I first put Switch in the enclosure, he immediately ran up to the heat lamp and sat under it, which made his color change to be way brighter. Anyway, Switch is very cool, and I've only just scratched the surface of chameleon care. I might even end up doing another video where I breed Switch and another rare female chameleon to get an ultra rare chameleon, so subscribe if you want to see that. But until then, this guy is gonna be an amazing pet. Thank you for watching. Anyways, I just want to quickly update all the subscribers who care about the channel. So I've seen a couple comments of people asking what I do with my pets after the videos, and the answer is with some of them, I'll end up donating them to pet shops or friends to take care of them. Since I make a ton of videos by myself, it's hard to give equal care to every single pet, so that's why I do that. But if you're wondering, with them right next to it, I'm filling this tank up with the coolest species I can find, starting with plants, and eventually getting to shrimp, snails, fish, and even more. Not only will I document the process of building it, but also the daily lifestyle of every creature living inside and how they survive. To understand how it started, we're going back to day one, where I unboxed a 21-gallon tank. Now, I wanted to build it on my actual desk, but considering my desk is made of glass, it'd probably shatter from all the weight, and the ecosystem would fall on the floor and spill all the fish around my room. I don't want that. So instead, I'm moving an old dresser into the corner. I know it looks ugly now, but just give me a second. This tablecloth hides all the stains and leaves me ready to add my tank. Now, if we want to add some awesome life to this lake, we need to first build an awesome lake. So I went out and bought all the materials I'm gonna need and started by mixing the substrate. This substrate I'm using is a mix of brown fluorite and sugar white sand, which is optimized to help the plants grow. And most importantly, it just looks cool. But before adding in plants, I did a bit more designing with some rocks and wood. Now we gotta add the water, and because I need it to be very clean water for the fish, tap water simply is not gonna cut it. Instead, I'm gonna fill it up with this reverse osmosis water filter that I get my drinking water out of. Okay, why is this thing so slow? Bruh. It may have taken literally an hour, but eventually I got enough water to fill up the aquarium. Just kidding, I still needed like 17 gallons of water. And because I'm lazy, I just put the water dispenser straight into the tank like this. I also had to add in a mineral supplement to the water because the reverse osmosis filter I used stripped them all. I was soon gonna start introducing life into the lake ecosystem, but before, I needed to complete their home by adding in plants. So I went outside and started to pick out the coolest looking plants I could find. Just kidding, those are not freshwater plants, and they would all die if I put them in. What I actually did is order 9 different species of real aquatic plants to my house. I tried using my special planting tweezers, but they were so bad. So I just used my hands, which worked a lot better. The kit I bought also came with these tiger lotus bulbs, which made me think I got scammed because this is not a plant. But apparently it's just a seed that'll grow into a full beautiful plant in a month. Although, while I was putting in the plants, I kept digging up dirt and it started to make the water super dirty. I literally couldn't even see through it by the end, so I tried adding in some clarity solution to it, which usually fixes stuff like this, and I added on a filter. But after waiting 2 whole days, the water barely even cleared up, but now it just looks like tea.
Wait, I wonder if it tastes like tea. Okay, it definitely doesn't.
Anyways, I did some research to figure out why it was like this, and Google told me that the driftwood I added inside is releasing some chemicals called tannins into the water, which is completely polluting it. So I took that wood out and added in a product called Purigen into the filter, which should remove the tannins. While the filter cleaned the water, I took the driftwood and started to boil it. Apparently the heat removes the tannins. I mean, I don't know how that really works, but I never questioned Google. You could tell it was working well because after the first boil, the water looked like this.
I wonder if this one tastes like tea. Nope.
So I boiled it a few more times. The next day, the water was crystal clear again, and I added in our final and coolest plant, duckweed. Now, if I'm being honest, this didn't even come with the plant kit I bought, but I watched this one video where the guy had something similar, and I really wanted it. It was totally worth it because it looked cool from not only above, but also beneath. The only problem is that it sort of blocks light from getting into the tank, so I added on a proper light that helped light it up a bit better. I could add in the animals now, but if I did, then they would probably all die. That's because before adding in life, you need to cycle the water. Basically, you just pour a small sample of healthy bacteria into the water, and that bacteria will break down toxic chemicals. But this isn't a science channel, so if you want to learn more, go watch Bill Nye the Science Guy or something. After waiting a week, my water treatment tested it was good to add in some animals. I wanted to start by adding some invertebrates, which are animals without spines, like shrimp and snails, that will help clean up algae around the tank. First up, I got 3 yellow shrimp. The shrimp were very, very small. I mean, seriously, I did not expect them to be absolutely microscopic. But I pushed the duckweed out the way at the top and added them in. The shrimp immediately started to explore their new home. I was waiting for them to do something useful by maybe cleaning up some algae or something, but they kept just being lazy and standing around doing nothing. I searched up why, and apparently the reason is that these shrimp spend most of their day cleaning themselves by rubbing their body with their claws. Oh my god, the shrimp just ripped his arm off. What? I'm just kidding. That's just a piece of debris that he removed from himself. That's the whole reason why they clean themselves. But since these guys are lazy, I'm gonna add some albino mystery snails into the tank. Although, to be fair, these guys weren't much better. I mean, snails are sort of known for being the slowest animal in the world that goes 0.0006 miles an hour. Bruh. So if the snails made one wrong turn like this guy, then they're gonna waste literally 20 minutes climbing up a log for no reason at all. But at least snails are a bit better at cleaning up algae, so I can't really complain. Anyways, let's get to the good stuff, fish. For the first species, I chose the coolest looking fish I could find. Green and yellow neon tetras. Google tells me these fish originate from the Amazon rainforest. But if I'm being honest, I do not believe that, because if they actually did, they would definitely get eaten by an alligator or something. Anyways, I made a good choice by picking these guys, because after adding them in, you could immediately tell how much color they added to the ecosystem. These tetras are schooling fish, so that means that they like to stay together in groups to avoid predators in the wild. But the best thing by far about these fish is that in the nighttime when there's no lights, they have the ability to glow in the dark. This is very cool because when I'm sleeping, I can look over to my left and see some glowing fish that brings the entire ecosystem to life. But since these tetras spend most of their time in the middle to top areas of the tank, I want to add in a fish that spends most of their time at the bottom of the tank. So I got some yo-yo loaches. Loaches are also schooling fish, so I got 3 of them and added them in. They immediately went down to the substrate because they are bottom dwellers and started to explore their new home. They were honestly better at cleaning the lake than the invertebrates were, and just swept around the entire ecosystem, eating any algae they could find. But the 2 best things about these loaches are that 1, they have yo-yo in their name, and I like yo-yos. And 2, their white and black pattern makes them look like a zebra, and I like zebras too. Now, the only thing the ecosystem is missing is food for the fish. I could just feed the fish these little pellets, but it's good to feed them a greater variety of food. So today, I'm feeding them some nutritious bloodworms. Now, I'm definitely not gonna touch these things because they're nasty. So now, I actually have a use for my tweezers. As soon as I dropped them in, the tetras swooped in and snatched all of them up. But every now and then, the neon tetras would miss a bloodworm where they would just drop down to the floor so the yo-yo loaches could eat them. Their mouths are so small that they need to just take these tiny little bites out of the bloodworms in order to eat. All of the life in the lake.
These are mealworms, and they're known for their ability to eat almost anything. But what if you put 10,000 mealworms on a whole watermelon? How quickly would they completely eat it and turn it to mush despite its massive size?
Yeah, I don't know, so that's why I bought 10,000 meal.
In this video, I've collected the 7 weirdest species of fish to keep as pets. I've got species like one that literally has no eyes, the smallest in the entire world, and even a fish that can walk on land. sand. Yeah, these fish are weird. But to start us off, the first weirdest fish is in this container. This is an archer fish. And all I'll tell you is this guy isn't called an archer fish for no reason. It has an absolutely insane special ability. So to get started, I got out a giant fish tank to build its home. I started with the basics like soil and sand, but started adding tons more decorations like rocks and tree branches. And I even put some overhanging branches, as this is very important for the archer fish. You'll see why in a second. Finally, I filled up the tank with water and it was ready for the archer fish. Hope you enjoy your new home, boy. It's nice in here. Now, archer fish are very territorial, so he immediately started to swim all around the tank to make sure he was alone. And when he realized he swam up to the top of the tank to start patrolling the branches. You see, this species doesn't eat normal fish food. They only eat live insects. So I got out a bag of small crickets and put them on top of the tree branches. And this is where the special ability kicks in. The archer fish immediately noticed the crickets and got into position. And after barely sticking its mouth out of the water, it shot out a stream of water to try and hit the crickets off the branch into the water. Yes, this fish has literally evolved over millions of years to shoot literal water beams at overhead insects so it can eat them. And this guy, well, he's got pretty bad aim. Yeah, he kept missing the easiest shots.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
But eventually he knocked one in the water and swam right up to it to gulp it up. And yeah, he wasn't good at that either, but he eventually got it.
Oh, you got it. Dang, that was actually super cool.
That guy's gonna be an amazing pet. And in this video, there's still 6 even weirder species of fish to show. In this next one, well, you're just gonna have to see it for yourself. These are eyeless cavefish. And as the name suggests, these fish quite literally have no eyes. You're probably wondering how it even eats food, swims, or does anything. I don't really know, but I guess we're gonna find out. But first, I got out the tank and started to attach rocks to the back because I want to make this fish tank look like a cave, because you know we're putting eyeless cave fish in here. We got to make it look like their natural habitat. And once all the water safe spray foam dried, I filled the bottom up with a bit of soil, sand, plants, decorations, and all that stuff.
All right, so I was trying to make this look like a cave, and it's not the absolute best, but hopefully you get the vision. You know, it's a cave.
Anyways, I filled it up with water and got the weird eyeless fish out.
Okay, if I'm being honest, I'm kind of confused on what these guys are gonna do when I put them in here. I mean, they literally don't have eyes, so are they just gonna like swim right into a rock and get brain damage or something? I don't know. I guess we'll see though.
So I released them in one by one, and as I expected, this guy straight away swam right into a rock. But apparently that was just a one-off occurrence, because for the most part they actually acted pretty similar to normal fish. So before I fed them some food, I did some research to figure out how they act so normal, and figured out it's because they have this thing on their body called a lateral line system. Basically, it's a bunch of nerves that can detect super slight water vibrations and help them navigate around.
Okay, now this is the fun part. Since these guys are blind, we're gonna see if they're actually able to even eat food. I got these pellets.
So I sprinkled them in and they started to sink to the bottom. And almost immediately, the fish's insane scent of smell kicked in and one started to go crazy. And within seconds, the rest of them joined in, and as you can see, they were going insane, eating up all the food off the floor like a bunch of piranhas. Yeah, eyeless cavefish are super cool and super weird, but we still got way more fish that are even weirder, including one that can walk on land. But next up, I've actually got 2 different weird species I'm gonna pair together. In this container, I've got both glass catfish and upside down catfish, which, you know, are both catfish, so they fit pretty well together. Anyways, before I show you how weird these species are, we gotta first, of course, build another tank, and this one's pretty similar to the first. Sand, rocks, wood, stuff like that, you know, and I wanted to especially make this one look like a swamp, so I even made sure the water was a little murky, and then I was done. So the first weird fish I put inside was the glass catfish, and if you're wondering why they're called glass catfish, it's because they're literally made of glass. I'm just kidding. They're actually made of fish, but they're called glass catfish because they're completely see-through, if you're wondering. If I put my finger behind the fish, you can literally see it through it. That's pretty weird, you gotta admit. Anyways, while these guys adjusted to the tank, I also added in the 2 upside-down catfish I had. Now, this will probably be a shock to some of you, but they're actually called upside-down catfish because they swim upside down a bunch. Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. Now, the reason to why they do this is because their favorite food is algae, and when they're upside down, they get access to the parts of rocks other fish can't reach. It's actually pretty smart. Now, normally if I was upside down this long, I'd get a headache, but I guess guess they're fish, so I don't know if fish get headaches, to be honest.
All right, now I could just feed these guys just, normal fish pellets, but I think it'd be a lot more interesting to feed them something cool so we can see the food inside their bodies. So that's why I've got this. Apparently it's just some frozen turkey heart, Daphnia, and spirulina. Yeah, I don't know what any of that is, but it's probably gonna be cool to see inside their body. Let's drop it in.
So I dropped in a few of the cubes, and immediately they started to dissolve into a bunch of tiny little food that floated around the tank. A few of the ghost catfish immediately went and picked it up off the floor and slowly started to chew it up and swallow it. But after they swallowed it, I couldn't see the food in their body anywhere, and apparently that's because their stomach is actually right here. Yeah, I don't know why they have the stomach so close to their mouth. Like, what if they sneeze too hard? The stomach might just like fall out or something. Well, now that the catfish have been fed, it's time for weird fish number 5, which is easily one of my favorites. The 5th weird fish is in this container. Yeah, I know it looks like there's nothing in here, but that's because this thing is called an Amazon leaf fish. It literally almost never moves, and in fact, the only way you can tell it's a fish is its super tiny fins and its eyes. But don't let this thing fool you. It's actually a fierce predator that will eat anything. But to show you that, we gotta get its home built. For the tank, I wanted to make it look like the bottom of an Amazon rainforest river or lake or something. Now, I didn't really know how to do that, to be honest, but I just stacked up a bunch of pieces of wood so it looked like tree roots. And after filling it up with some water, you can tell it had this orange hue to it, and that's because I let the tannins from the wood soak into the water because it's super healthy for this fish. So I scooped him up into his brand new home, and immediately he went into hiding. Let's play a little game. You have 5 seconds to find the fish in the tank. Let's go. He's somewhere in here camouflaged. And did you get it? He's right here. Yeah, basically impossible to see, especially when he's in the cloudy, tannin-filled water. Anyways, one of the coolest things about this fish is how it swims. You see, while most fish swim by flapping their back fin around back and forth, this guy needs to look like a drifting dead leaf. So using the super tiny fins, it flaps those barely enough to propel his body around the water. And yeah, it blends in pretty well. Now, in the wild, these guys mostly eat live fish, but I'd feel bad feeding them a live fish, so instead, I've got another idea for some live prey to feed it. Basically, I got this little toy that apparently lets you hatch your own pet shrimp from eggs. And I'm gonna feed them to the leaf, of course. All right, everything's set up, and I think there's gonna be some stuff hatching in here in like a day or two, so I guess I'll just come back, cut to them. All right, it's been a couple days, and I don't really know if I did this right, but if you look closely in there, there is actually a bunch of those little, I don't really know what they are, but they're swimming around. Something's alive in there, so I'm sure that's a good sign. So I used a little pipette to suck them out, and as you can see, there's a pretty good amount of them inside of it. Then I just sprayed them all around the leaf fish and waited for him to ambush them, or something like that. But I'm gonna be honest, he didn't really react to them at all, and he didn't eat any of them. But of course he has to eat, so instead I got out a pack of frozen shrimp, which are a lot bigger, and surely he would eat. I dropped them in right next to him, and it didn't take long until he started to suck them up one by one. Looks like he's enjoying it. Anyways, this guy's gonna be a great pet, but there is still 2 more extremely weird fish species, with the last one, of course, being the walking fish. It's very cool. But for now, fish species number 6 is in this container. Yes, this is literally the fish. It is the smallest fish available to buy on the entire internet. It's called a Chili rasbora, and no, this is not a baby or anything. It is literally a fully grown adult. I don't even know if it'll be able to eat those tiny little pellets since it's so small, but I guess we'll see. Anyways, for its tank, I bought something to match its size, the smallest one I could find on Amazon. Oh yes, this is super cool and super big. As you can see, it's about the size of my hand. Okay, it's not big, but for some reason it looks like a Lego block. I don't know why. And it also came with this bag of supplies like rocks and some super bad decorations. So yeah, get this trash out of here. For the build, it was pretty simple. Just some sand, rocks, and little twigs. And after filling it up with water very carefully, it was ready. All right, the little thing's ready, but I did just realize that we're actually kind of demoting him. We're giving him a smaller cage. But hey, I'm sure he won't mind. I mean, he's a small guy. Let's just scoop him up. And just be free, my friend. Welcome to your new home. Now, ignore how the water's a little cloudy in here. I can't exactly put a filter on the tank since it's way too small. But anyways, look at how much the Chili rasbora is enjoying his tank. You know, swimming around and stuff. Yeah, he loves it. To feed him, I dropped in some of the pellets like I was saying earlier, and while he was swimming around looking like he wanted to eat them, he didn't actually eat any of them. And yeah, even if he did try to eat them, I don't even think they'd fit in his mouth. Like, to be honest, it's so small, I don't even know if this thing has a brain in its head. It might just be on like autopilot, going around in random directions 24/7. Bruh. But anyways, if you thought I was gonna keep this guy in here, you are wrong. That would actually be kind of mean, since they need a lot more room than this to swim around. So I scooped him up and actually added him in the tank with the catfish, since those aren't aggressive at all and it has the perfect conditions. And I even added in 5 more of the same chili raspora species so they could school up and be friends with each other. Very cool. Anyways, that's it for the tiniest fish I could find, but now it's time for the fish we have all been waiting for. The walking fish, which I have inside of He appeared in my most popular video, but it's been 6 months and he's changed a lot, so I want to show you the new and improved Franklin. But before I can do that, I want to build him a new home, since his old home that I built for him is pretty old at this point. So I got out an enclosure and started by putting lava rocks along the middle and using spray foam to seal them up. You see, for walking fish, you need a land area, but also a very shallow water area so they can stay wet and swim around. And first, I started with the water area by putting down some aqua soil, sand, and then some rocks and pebbles to make it look more natural. And I finished it off by sticking around some sticks. See what I did there? Sticking around the sticks? Yeah. Anyways, for the land area, I used some coconut fiber for the base and covered it in a different type of dirt, which will have a more mud-like consistency once water is added. I finished it by putting some sticks around and a little bit of moss. Simple, but good. The final step was to add in water to the right side and then also a bunch of water to the dirt to make it muddy. All right, you can see after we added the water, this basically turned into like mud, which is perfect for the Mudskipper, of course. But the problem with this is it's super moist and mold can actually grow here super easily. So to fix that, I've got this pack of springtails, which are basically they're little bugs and they eat mold and stop mold from growing. So yeah, I'm just gonna put them in there like that. Nice. Just like that, the enclosure was finished and ready for Franklin to be added. Welcome to your new home, buddy. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Now, if you didn't see the previous video about the walking fish, basically, they can swim around like a normal fish as expected, but in reality, they actually spend most of their time out of the water. And as you can see here, he is an absolute expert at that. As long as their skin is wet, they can breathe just fine outside the water, just like a frog or something. Now, if you guys saw the last video about the walking fish, Franklin is actually deathly as scared of crickets, but it's been about 6 months since then, and well, I got some good news, guys. He kind of likes to eat crickets now, and I'm about to show you exactly what it's like. It's actually pretty cool to watch. So I dropped some inside, and they immediately started to walk along the bank of the water area. Not a great idea, considering Franklin was watching their every move. But even after some of the crickets got extremely close to Franklin, he well, he kind of just ignored them. He wasn't scared of them or anything, but he just wasn't eating them. So the crickets got off lucky today, because I guess Franklin just wasn't hungry. So if you want to know what it looks like when he eats crickets, just imagine a cricket and then imagine Franklin eating it. Yeah, basically that's it. But anyways, Franklin is easily the coolest weird fish in this. I've seen videos of ants doing insane things to survive. Like in this one, where they built a boat out of their bodies to survive a flood. Or in this one, where they built a dangling bridge out of their bodies to attack a wasp nest. So I was wondering, if I put my 1,000 ants into obstacle courses, will they do similar things to complete them? Or are my ants just not that smart? Well, I just spent hours gathering 1,000 ants out my old ant nest. So I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to put these guys up against their first ant obstacle. Obstacle number 1 is this thing. Basically, what we do is put some massive dead insect food at the bottom, and then we fill it with a bunch of sand to turn it into one of those 2D ant nests. Basically, we'll be able to watch the ants dig out all sorts of tunnel systems in here, and if they actually find the insect food I hit at the bottom, then they'll pass the obstacle and move on to the next obstacles that get harder and harder as the video goes on. All right, let's not waste any time, and well, let's just do this. Wow, that is very satisfying watching 1,000 ants fall in here. Okay. Now, of course, immediately, the ants all just started to try and climb the walls of the top area to try and escape. But surprisingly, many of the ants were already starting to dig down that center 2D part of the nest. Oh my gosh, this is happening so fast. Wait, is there already progress on the side of the tank? Oh, I just put these guys in literally like 45 seconds ago, and they've already dug like half an inch down in. What? Yep, and if you check out this time-lapse footage, you can see just how quickly they were getting work done. They literally work like mini drills drills to dig these tiny tunnels through the sand. But in reality, it's a tiring and grueling process where each individual grain of sand has to be picked up from a worker underground, brought all the way up to the surface through this little hole, and then dropped off at this pile of sand over here. Now, while I was recording this, it was actually getting pretty late in the day, so I decided to turn off the lights and came back the next day to see the progress made. And guys, the next day I came back to the ant nest looking like this. Yeah.
Bro, what? It's been literally like 8 hours. How did these ants build an entire intricate nest?
And not only were all these intricate tunnel systems made, but remember those dead insects I placed at the bottom as food? Well, it's safe to say that ants found those too, and it looks like the whole colony had swarmed them and had already started to devour them. And since they got to the insects, that technically means they passed this first obstacle. Congratulations, guys. It happened so fast, I literally didn't even capture that on camera.
Oh, but this next obstacle the ants are going up against will definitely be caught on camera, because the next obstacle is the tightrope of doom.
Yes, you heard that right. And if you're wondering what that is, well, it's this thing. Yup, the ants will have to walk across this extremely narrow tightrope over a pit filled with fire and flames.
Oh, I gotta put that out. Oh, yep, put that out. Oh, are you gonna go out?
No, I'm just kidding. That would be crazy. These are literally my pets. I would never do that. But I will be trapping the ants down here if they fall by lining the walls of this pit with this super slippery liquid stuff called fluon. I know you can't really see this stuff since it's invisible, but basically when an ant tries to walk up on here now, it'll just slip off completely. Yeah, this stuff is super slippery.
And you guys are about to see why this challenge gets so interesting in a second. But if you look over at the 2D ant nest, you'll actually see I have a little hole here plugged up with some paper towels. And if you also look here, I got some tubing, meaning I can connect this to the obstacle. So yeah, let's just get this obstacle started. Come on, ants, let's get in here.
Immediately after plugging in the tubing, obviously ants noticed and started walking in. I mean, there's 1,000 ants. You can't even get away from them for a second. But that's what makes these obstacles fun, because it only took like 10 seconds till our first ant entered the tightrope of doom tank. Now, to pass this obstacle, the ants quite literally just need to get one of these pieces of insect legs back across the tightrope, which I think might be impossible, but let's see how they do. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the ants started off with some pretty lackluster performance because our first ants that made it to this tightrope didn't actually walk onto it. They kind of just walked around it on the corner of this platform where they just ended up just slipping off. Yeah, come on, guys. What are you doing? But we got 1,000 ants, so I was expecting at least one of these ants to eventually step onto this tightrope. But as tons more ants started to walk into this room, yeah, they kind of all just did the same exact thing. And the pit started to get absolutely filled up with tons of ants.
Come on, ants, what are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. I think this is actually my fault, and to make them walk across the tightrope, I just gotta fix something. Let me show you how to fix it.
Basically, what I did was first of all tape 2 extra pieces of string to the tightrope to make it a bit thicker so the ants would feel safer when they walked on it. And also, I rubbed this insect jelly food on the tightrope to make the bridge smell like jelly. And yeah, hopefully this will make them want to walk on it. Now, this worked exactly how I wanted it to, because within the first minute, our first workers actually started to walk onto the tightrope and explored it, just very slowly. But over time, more and more ants started to walk onto it, and it was actually kind of funny because sometimes the ants would literally just be hanging from each other's legs because there would just be way too many on the tightrope at the same time. Dang, these ants aren't very good at saving their friends. But it didn't take long for our first brave ant to actually make it to the end of this tightrope. That wasn't even half of the challenge, because now, if you remember, the ants actually got to pick up one of these insect legs and bring them back across the tightrope. And this ant clearly wasn't looking too interested in that, because yeah, he was just completely ignoring them. So I kept waiting until some more ants made it to the side by crossing the tightrope. And surprisingly, one of the ants that made it actually did seem interested in the legs, because he went up to one of them and actually started to bite it. But if you couldn't tell, this leg is kind of way too big for this worker to carry it all by himself, and for some reason, even after tons of ants made it onto this side, none of them came to help this poor worker move the leg. But this worker had a mission. He knew he needed to take a leg back to the colony, so what he did was he went up to one of the smaller insect legs that he could actually carry by himself, and he actually picked it up and started to walk. Yep, yeah, it wasn't super efficient or anything, but theoretically, he could pass this obstacle for the entire colony. colony if he played his cards right. And played his cards right, he did, because I'm not joking. He walked straight over to the tightrope, and he might have had an extremely close call where he almost fell off, but somehow he managed to save himself. And then the ant actually started to walk across the tightrope with an insect leg in his mouth.
Oh my gosh, guys. This is genuinely so insane. I am rooting for you, bro. I mean, you got a long way to go. But guys, the ants were doing so awful up to this point. You can see how many fell into the pit of doom. Bro, this dude, he's just an absolute killer.
Yup, literally none of the 1,000 ants decided to help this dude. He was doing this entirely solo. And so he kept on marching, completely ignoring any ants that were in his way. And this dude made it all the way to the end of the tightrope, where he then walked onto the platform to complete the obstacle. Oh my gosh, this ant is insane. Seriously, I gotta name this guy. I think I'm gonna name him Anthony. And we're probably never gonna be able to find Anthony again since all the ants look the same. But seriously, everyone spam some W's in the comments for Anthony. That was so insane.
And since these guys beat the obstacle, I'm gonna give them the insect's legs as a prize. Thanks, Anthony. Hopefully you guys enjoy.
So I quickly moved all the fallen soldiers back to the 2D ant nest. And well, this colony is now ready for its third obstacle. And oh boy, am I excited for this one.
Because guys, these ants are gonna have to break into a vault. Yeah, like a robbery, basically.
Yup, you heard that right, a vault. For this obstacle, I literally built up a DIY bank vault from scratch out of paper that I knew the ants would probably be able to break into. You can see it's pretty good, sort of looks like a real vault. And anyways, it's cool because the door actually opens, so I could fill this bank vault with an absolutely insane amount of seeds. Yeah, I put so many seeds in here.
Because yeah, apparently seeds are this species of ants' favorite food, so they should absolutely swarm this thing. But I got this hot glue gun so I could seal this vault door shut, because I gotta make this actually a kind of hard obstacle. So let me just go and put some glue on here. Oh yeah, just like that. All right, the vault is completely sealed shut with glue now, so let's see if these ants can actually get the seeds out of it. This is going to be very interesting to watch.
So yeah, I just put it in, and as you can imagine, the 1,000 ant colony immediately started to climb onto it. Especially when things are put into colonies' nests, they need to investigate it to make sure it's not a threat. And with this, I think they pretty much immediately knew it wasn't a threat, because none of them were biting it or anything. And actually, a lot of them were just using it as an opportunity to climb out of the enclosure. That's not good. But yeah, the vault right now is pretty sealed shut, and I don't even think the ants knew that there were seeds inside of here. So nothing really eventful happened, to be honest.
Okay, this is not exactly going to plan. I'm just gonna take this box and put it in there. Oh, hopefully I didn't crush any ants. Okay, and then let me scoop up all the ants that fell off.
So yeah, I got all those fallen soldiers back into the nest, of course.
Well, that didn't exactly work so well, but I kind of knew it wasn't gonna work so well, so that's why I came equipped with this stuff. See, basically, it's a cup of water and a big cup of sugar, which I'm gonna pour into the water. Then basically, I can mix the water and sugar around to make sugar water, which ants love the smell and taste of. And using this paintbrush, I actually just wanna go and paint our vault with it. And basically, this will make the vault not only taste like sugar, but it will also just make it kind of soggy since it's made out of paper, and it should make it able so the ants can chew through it and stuff and get to the seeds.
So yeah, I absolutely just soaked this vault in the sugar water, and without wasting any time, I got this thing in the nest. All right, ants, let's see how you do this time. And oh boy, were things a lot more interesting this time around, because right away, tons more ants were way more interested. You can see how after the ants would walk onto the vault, they would just completely stand still. That's because they were putting their mouth up to the paper and were just completely licking all the sugar off the paper. Yeah, this is not really what I had in mind. I thought this was gonna make them want to completely chew through the paper, not lick it. But yeah, so many ants got their fair share of the sugar. However, I didn't see a single ant even trying to find or even acknowledge that there were seeds inside of here. Well, that was until this moment. When you see this hole here, well, just out of nowhere, an ant just came up to it and walked into the hole. And yeah, there was just an ant inside of this vault with the absolute jackpot of seeds. I don't know how this hole got here. I guess maybe the sogginess from the sugar water made it droop or something. But wow, that is crazy.
Oh my gosh, wait, I think the ants just completed the obstacle. Let me get all the excess ants off this safe real quick.
And yeah, once the extra ants had fallen off, I cut open the vault to see if that ant had actually made it inside. And as you can see, he absolutely had made it inside. Oh my gosh, bro, your colony has no clue how much you just clutched up for them.
Wait, imagine if this is Anthony, that same ant that beat the obstacle course. That would be insane, but I mean, I don't know if this is the same ant. But anyways, W ant.
So yeah, I just went and poured the entire all its loot pile onto the 2D ant nest. And well, the ants have been rewarded with the absolute motherload of food up to this point. But I've been saving the craziest obstacle for last to really find out how smart my ant colony actually is. And this final one is the floor is lava.
Yup, the floor is lava, and thankfully I already have it built right here.
This is the final obstacle. And you may be wondering, bruh, Deadliest, where's the lava? Well, the lava is these strips of red on the floor right here. You see, these are actually extremely sticky pieces of tape. And if the ants try to walk on them, well, they're gonna get stuck, of course. So if the ants want to get to the strawberries that I put at the end of the obstacle, they're gonna have to use one of the 3 tools I provided for them to figure out how they can maybe cross this lava. Or maybe they'll make a crazy bridge out of their bodies to cross it. Who knows?
Anyways, I wanted to make sure most of these guys actually participated, so I spent the past few hours individually picking up each of the ants from the ant nest and transporting them into this container, or at least as many as I can get. The rest are kind of under there. That way, they could be easily transported. But before pouring these,
I just dumped the ants straight in. If you can't tell, I actually changed the design of the obstacle a little bit, because if you remember that red tape, well, I actually replaced it with an even stickier and thicker kind of tape to make sure these ants wouldn't be able to just walk across. Anyways, let's see how they do. As you could probably guess, lots of the ants immediately went up to the tape and partially got stuck in the front. But don't worry guys, I'll be watching the ants throughout this obstacle, and any of the ants that looks like they get super stuck in the middle, I'll be picking up with these tweezers and moving back to the start so they don't get stuck in here permanently and hurt. Anyways, to actually cross this tape, like I said earlier, I gave these ants different tools, like a pile of dirt, some pieces of string, and even some wood chips to see if they'd be smart enough to actually use these things to their advantage to cross the piece of tape. And while it may look like the ants are not using the tools here, if you look very closely down here near the dirt, they've actually already started to push this pile of dirt onto the tape to make a little bridge that they can walk onto. If they keep building up this bridge, they would actually be able to cross this with no problem whatsoever. But right when I was filming this, I actually noticed that an ant had actually been walking across the tape and somehow had made it extremely close to the end. Yeah, I have no clue how this ant just managed to ignore the stickiness of this tape. I guess his legs were just extremely strong or something, because he got all the way to the end where he had a bit of trouble pulling himself off the tape, but eventually he was able to do it, and wow. Well, this ant just technically passed the obstacle.
oh my gosh, bro. I didn't even see this ant, but I mean, he just passed the obstacle. I guess that's fair and square. Good job, bro. Why is it the past 3 obstacles, it's been a single ant that's clutched it up for the entire colony? But anyways, I gotta get all these guys off the tape so they aren't hurt at all.
So yeah, I got them all picked up into a container and transported them back to their nest safely.
All right, because you guys beat it, I'm gonna give you this piece of the strawberry. And because the ants beat all of the obstacles I gave them, I'm gonna be giving them this brand new ant nest. Basically, it's just a bit more compact and it has a cool outworld on the top. And I think it's just a bit more optimal for them. So I'm gonna go and move them in there. Anyways, hopefully you guys were entertained and learned something new about ants.
There is a 1 in 73 million% chance that a snake is born with 2 heads. But by some miracle, some of these snakes are able to survive and are able to learn to live with 2 different minds. Now, normally it would be impossible to get one of these, but I just found this guy who has a pet 2-headed snake.
Hey Terra Green, I'm Max and this is Mario and Luigi, one of the rarest 2-headed snakes in the world. They're growing a little fast and I need you to build them a new enclosure.
Well, Max, I can definitely do that. So in this video, I'm going to create a dream home paradise and put the 2-headed snake inside. Now, there's not much documented research around 2-headed snakes, so this video will be a first for YouTube, showing off everything about them. Now, because this is for one of the largest 2-headed snakes in the world, I got out a massive enclosure. And to start the build, we need to create the rainforest background. To do this, I covered the whole back glass with some spray foam, which would allow me to stick tons of large pieces of wood to it. You see, I'm trying to make a lush rainforest in here, since that's where the 2-headed snake species lives in the wild. To finish the look, I covered it in dirt and other rainforesty materials.
All right, this actually looks cool how it wraps around the entire enclosure. But anyways, now using moss bricks, I'm going to fill in the floor of this enclosure. But also, I'm going to use these slabs of moss and also some wood chip stuff.
Yeah.
Now with this concoction of stuff, I'm gonna add in a big tub of water, which will get entirely absorbed by these bricks. And yeah, you've probably already seen this before, but after mixing it, boom, we now had the whole floor in there completed.
Anyways, this is where it gets fun because you see two-headed snakes are so unique. So in this enclosure, I need to make special accommodations to, accommodate how crazy they are. But the first thing being these things.
These are 2 rock water bowls, which I put inside of the enclosure. I just figured that the 2 heads are gonna want their own fresh water bowl so they don't have to share. So yeah, pretty good. Anyways, I do just have to put some normal decorations around the water bowls to make this place look more like a rainforest. And I thought it'd be cool to spread a bunch of this leaf litter along the floor to make it look like all those leaves fell from the trees above. Now I asked Max if he wanted any special additions, and he said most 2-headed snakes aren't able to climb, but Mario and Luigi are an exception. Make sure to include tons of climbing vines so they can show off.
And lucky for him, using this, I just figured out a new trick to make climbing vines.
You see, first you get a bunch of this rope, not too thick, but also not too thin. Then you load up some silicone into a gun and get to spraying it all over the rope. After spreading it all around, you can add in a bunch of dirt and other vine stuff, and after mixing it, you will get a DIY vine.
And because the silicone on this hardens up a pretty good amount, it's gonna let me bend it around all the branches. That way we can get this hooked up everywhere along the top section.
So that's exactly what I did, putting it around every corner so Mario and Luigi would be able to climb to their heart's content. Now to finish off the decorations, I put in a snake hide because pretty much every snake species needs that. But because we're of course putting a 2-head snake in here, I used some foam to put a little divider here because I want to see if Mario and Luigi pop out both their heads. That way they can scan for prey separately.
All right, the floor looks all good now, but now I want to scatter some plants up in the tree area to finalize that rainforest look. So you already know. I'm gonna pick out some of these colorful ones. Let me get some of these green ones. And oh man, this is just amazing.
So I went around and picked out the coolest ones I could find and then checked them out. When I got home, I of course got them out and scattered them all around the upper and lower parts of the enclosure. And then using my hot glue gun, I attached tons of draping vines and even got out some moss like I do in all my enclosures to glue around everywhere as well.
Okay, this place is super green and luscious now. It looks really good. But to finish it off, we gotta put some technology into this enclosure.
First of all, this thing, which is a rainforest spray system, so we can make this really into a rainforest. It was pretty easy to set up. I just attached the sprayers in the corner and used some glue to cover the water tubing. And now when you go down here and click the button I attached to the side of the enclosure, boom, shakalaka, it's now raining. Pretty cool. Okay, the next technology is just a simple LED light strip, which I attached to the top of the enclosure and plugged in.
It isn't anything too crazy, but I just think the pink at the top contrasts pretty well with all the green around the enclosure. So yeah, I like it. That looks good.
Well, now that I'm done with this rainforest enclosure, I can now be one of the first YouTubers to show off such an insane, never seen before creature. Well, Max lives in another city, so the next day he drove a couple hours to come pick me and the enclosure up so we could of course put the snake inside.
Yo, what's up?
What's up, dude?
Max, the man, the myth, the legend. You are the person that probably owns the top 5 like rarest snakes in the world, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, the 2-headed snake. Well, anyways, let's not waste any time. Just check out this enclosure I built for them.
All right, already this exceeds my expectation completely.
Yeah, really? You like it?
Yeah, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, I tried to make it look like just like a crazy rainforest. You know, all the plants green everywhere.
Oh my God.
All right, but I did forget one thing actually. Right under this towel, come take a look at this.
Okay.
Mario and Luigi little figures.
All right, I like that.
Where should we put them? Just right there?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
You want them together or you want them separate?
I guess the snakes are together, right?
That's true, yeah.
All right.
All right, I can't. This looks so cool. Let's get it back to my place.
Yeah, let's go put those 2-head snakes in.
Yeah, let's put Mario and Luigi in.
So we got the enclosure in his car and drove a few hours back to his house.
All right, we're here. Let's go inside. I can't wait to see that 2-head snake. Let's actually get that in right away.
After bringing it inside, I set up the camera stuff and got the enclosure ready while Max went to pick up Mario and Luigi.
All right, come over here. I want to show you something.
Oh, you want to show me something? Is Mario and Luigi in here?
Yeah, but before I show you them, I want you to realize how rare they are and how special they are, like that they're still alive.
What Max did is he pulled out the container that actually had the mom that gave birth to the 2-headed snake, and he told me normally for a 2-headed snake to be born, a snake's egg has the chance for twins to be inside, but then there's a super rare chance that there's a birth defect that causes the twins to only partially split, causing it to have 2 different snake heads in one body.
The reason why Mario and Luigi are way crazier is because they're boas and they give live birth.
So that's a boa, and that gives live birth?
Yes. Meaning all the stuff that we just explained happens in the mother's stomach.
So yeah, one day this mom just gave birth to a two-headed snake. And as you can see in these pictures, it's a little disgusting when they're born, a bunch of slime and stuff everywhere. But despite all odds, Mario and Luigi were born that day and were perfectly functioning as a normal snake.
Okay, that's cool and all, but let's get to the reason why we're all here. Where's Mario and Luigi? Are they in here?
All right, yes they are.
Okay.
So we got the two-headed snake's current enclosure out, and immediately we opened up the lid to reveal the beauty inside. Mario and Luigi right there in front of my eyes, just chilling around.
This is something that shouldn't exist in this species. Two heads and one body.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This thing is like majestical.
If you think that's crazy, wait till we feed them. Watching them eat live is crazy.
And yes, eating with two heads means sometimes they will both separately try to eat the same food. And it's one of the most interesting things in all of nature. But as you can see, Max has been keeping them in this enclosure. And while it may look basic, it's actually not bad. Two-headed snakes are super delicate creatures, and it's best not to have anything too complex in the place where they sleep. But he had me build this rainforest so we could document what two-headed snakes do in the wild.
All right, so why don't we just get these in the enclosure?
All right, let's do it.
Okay, you're just gonna go straight and pick it up. Okay, you're not even scared of getting bit at all?
I mean, it could happen, but once you pick them up, they calm down. They realize that you mean no harm.
Oh, that's cool. Oh man, they're chill. They're just sitting there.
So Max put them in, and apparently Mario and Luigi have never seen an enclosure as natural as this, so right away they got to exploring.
This is so interesting. So do these two heads, do they both control the body?
Yeah, they have to, they kind of struggle.
So which one's on the left? So
That's Luigi.
That's Luigi. So Luigi's trying to go left, and Mario on the right, he's trying to go right. So it's like, they're kind of like stumped.
Now this is actually a pretty common problem for two-headed snakes, but since Mario and Luigi are over a year old, they know how to handle this and continue moving on together. Now Max wanted to prove Mario and Luigi were good at climbing, so he picked them up and put them in the tree area.
So usually, is this boa like species good at climbing?
Yeah, they're pretty arboreal.
Okay.
And immediately Mario and Luigi started to work together to climb around. And Max was right, they were pretty good and got around with no problems whatsoever.
Another interesting thing about Mario and Luigi is they each have their own personality.
Luigi's on the left, so Luigi is what's his personality
He's
like?
definitely more go with the flow, more your typical boa. He's more relaxed.
Okay.
And then Mario over here is kind of feistier.
Now Max wanted to show the two personalities in action, so he took them out the rainforest and put them back into the other enclosure.
So just having him in here, I want to show you how Mario's personality is different.
Yeah.
Just having my finger in front of him.
Oh yeah, Mario's definitely getting a lot more like agitated. The one on the left, Luigi, like he's just chilling. Mario's
Smelling my finger, and Mario doesn't want to smell. He just means business.
that is crazy. But you're just like fine getting your finger like that. I would not do that. You're just crazy.
Now finally, before feeding them, Max insisted on me holding the two-headed snake to get that experience.
I mean, I don't really know how to do this though.
Pick them up from their end.
Okay, so we just want to start. Oh, they're kind of getting mad at me. I'm not gonna lie. Ooh. Okay, so we just pick them up and then
Slide your hand underneath.
They're not gonna bite me. Ooh. Okay, so I'm picking up a two-head snake. How many people can say they've done this, huh?
Not a lot.
Yeah, this is crazy.
As you saw, I was very scared at first, but eventually they really mellowed out and they started to crawl all over me. And yeah, they even did some crazy acrobats. Ugh. That's pretty impressive, actually. But now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, watching the two heads eat. So to do that, we got out a tiny little mouse.
All right, it's time to feed it the mouse, and this is just freshly killed, right? This is from your little mouse
pre-killed.
farm. Okay, let's see what they do. Oh, he just immediately went and grabbed it. This is so cool. So while Luigi's eating, Mario's just sitting there. And do you think Mario, does he usually eat less than Luigi? Or-
Definitely. Mario eats probably once a month, while Luigi eats every week.
So for about 10 minutes, Luigi tried to get a good hold of the mouse and swallow it. But it was so interesting because Mario kept going about his day, just slithering around, while Luigi was still trying to swallow the mouse.
That is so crazy how Mario's just like kind of doing his own thing. Luigi's trying to swallow. Like, why is this happening?
It's two snakes in one body, so Mario's trying to move while Luigi's trying to eat.
But eventually, Luigi started to get the hang of it and got the whole thing into his mouth and down his stomach. And if you thought that wasn't cool enough, a couple days later, we got this insane footage of both the snakes eating. First of all, we put some mice in front of both of them, and like always, Luigi grabbed his, but Mario missed. But as Luigi started to swallow, Mario got bored and started to just grab onto the mouse as well. It was crazy watching Mario just latch on while Luigi stuffed it down his mouth. They even started to sort of fight with each other and drag it around the entire enclosure. So to make sure nothing bad happened, we tried to feed Mario again, and thankfully this time he took the little mouse and everything was good. Well, Thank you for watching. This was my craziest video ever. Subscribe for more. Bye.
Come on, Dad, let's get this in my car. Guys, we just bought this tank from someone who said he didn't want it anymore. And apparently there's a live turtle inside, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, we gotta get this thing home quickly.
Yeah. Wait. Stop. I think I just saw something in there. Wait, do you see that?
And after taking a closer look, you can see the turtle was right there, chilling under a piece of wood. So we took off the lid to get it out.
Yeah, look, the turtle's in here. Wait, should we take it out until we get home?
Well, we don't have a place to put it. Well, we might as well just keep it in there.
I guess so. I mean, we're not super far from home. He looks all right. Let me just put him back in here. There you go, buddy. I'll just cover you back up.
After we got it home, I searched around for a second until I found the turtle again, which looked like it was still in good health. So I took it out to get a closer look.
What species is this? I don't think I've ever seen this. It has like orange on it. Hold on, I guess let me just put this into my temporary tank. I have an idea of how to figure out what species this is.
So I opened up an AI app on my phone to take a picture of the turtle and ask what species it thought it was. And it came back as a Central American wood turtle, and even gave me some facts about it. But at the very bottom, it said that it had the special ability to stomp on the ground to make worms rise to the surface.
Wait, that is actually so cool. I'm gonna 100% test that later in this video.
And look, it says it wants 50% water, 50% land for its setup. So I guess that's what I'm gonna be turning this thing into.
Now, of course, I had to drain the dirty water out of it and take out all the trash decorations and sand from the previous owner.
All right, this is much better. And now to start, I'm gonna put in this big rock background.
You see, the previous owner did give me these for free, saying they would fit perfectly, and he was right, because as you can see, I was able to wrap them around all sides of the enclosure, and they fit perfectly, so I spray foamed them all into place.
And now, continuing with the rock theme, I'm gonna take some of these rocks and lay them down across the entire enclosure, which will basically separate the land and water areas in here.
Since the water's going to be on the side closest to the front, we want to get some spray foam and block up all the little holes and gaps along the rocks. And before it's able to dry, I covered it in some smaller rocks and pebbles to hide the exposed foam.
And since this tank is integrating water with land, the best way to symbolize that is to build a working waterfall, which I think I'm gonna do right here.
Yep, you heard that right. So I started stacking rocks along this corner here because this is going to be the hill where the waterfall will flow from.
Now you might expect to make the waterfall work, it'll be complex, but all you need in reality is this little water pump thing.
Basically, you just put that pump in the back corner and surround the extra space around it with some filter floss, which will make the waterfall also turn into a filter to keep the water clean. Then I lined some tubing from the pump up along the side of the hill, that way it was barely poking out the top of the rocks. Now you see, I actually did try to do a waterfall in a video about a year ago, and let's just say it didn't go so well at first. Hopefully that doesn't happen here.
Well, I really hope I set up the pump in here correctly, so let's fill it up with water so we can test the waterfall.
So I did that, plugged in the pump, and waited for it to start.
Why is nothing happening? It should be going. Is it broken? Well, it just went for a second. Wait, what? Oh, it's going again. Okay. Well, I mean, it's working. It's getting the water from the bottom to the top. So, yeah. It's kind of just splattering water all over me, though. I gotta turn this off.
Thankfully, I was able to change a setting on the pump to make it less extreme, which made it a lot more calm and into a beautiful flowing waterfall. So finally, I glued a little bit of rocks along the top of the pump to hide it and drained out the dirty water.
Well, thankfully, I got the waterfall working. So now it's time to finish up the floor and decorations in here.
First of all, I wanted to fill the land section with these clay leaka balls. You see, the two sections are mostly separated by rocks, but just in case a little water leaks through, this leaka should absorb it, keeping the land nice and dry. Next, I cut out some window screen matching the exact dimensions of the land, and then put the dirt substrate on top of it.
But this land area is looking pretty boring, so let's get the basics like some small rocks and wood inside. Then let's put in some of this fern moss to add some color. And this is a live moss I've never used before, and apparently when you spray it, it actually just starts growing really fast. So in just a matter of a couple days, the entire enclosure should be taken over by the moss. It should look pretty cool.
And finally, I put a ton of these branches on the wall to fill in the empty spots at the top of the enclosure.
All right, well, the land area is now all complete, and my favorite part is this little area I made under the waterfall. As you can see, it's nice and cozy in there, and the turtles will be able to set up camp in there. And now it's time for the water area, which is a little simpler because we just got to pour in sand, basically.
And after getting a ton of that in, I put some gravel up against the edge of the rock, so it faded that rock texture into the sand texture.
And finally, we can't forget more rocks, baby. Yeah, pretty much this entire riverbed is just made up of sand and rocks. Pretty simple.
All right, the base of the tank is now complete, and after filling it with water, it looked even better, with of course the beautiful waterfall now flowing. But if you're an avid terra greener, you already know what the next step is. Let's get some plants, baby. First of all, I went to Walmart, of course, which thankfully had just restocked their land plant section, so I could get some good deals on those. But I also needed aquatic plants, which I could only get at the pet stores, so I bought a few of those as well. After getting home, I got out all the plants and put some of them along the land section. It was mostly just some small plants to add some greenery, but in the water portion, I put in all the water plants, which definitely brought the whole thing to life a little bit more.
And now the final step to finishing this enclosure is the cleanup crew. And you'll see what I mean by that in a second, but let's go to Petco. Okay, now first of all, we need to get something that's gonna eat up any algae that grows in the water. And in this tank here, you can see there's some aquatic nerite snails. Yeah, those little things there. Let me get them in a bag.
And after getting those snails bagged up, I of course had to buy a couple containers of springtails, which I could put on the land and would eat any mold that grows in that moist dirt in the enclosure.
Oh yes, I'm happy they had these in stock. Let's buy these too.
When I got home, I first let the little springtails loose and they all scurried around in their own directions and took cover amongst all the dirt and leaves.
But oh, now it's time for the snails. Let's just put these guys in, and there we go.
Now the reason I chose this species of nerite snails is because they can't actually have babies in fresh water. You see, a big problem with most snail species is they'll have like a million babies, which causes the whole tank to get overrun. So thankfully with these guys, that's not gonna happen. To finish off the tank, I put in a water heater, a water oxygenator, and some heat and UV bulbs at the top so the right parameters would all be met.
And of course, the waterfall I built in the back should mostly filter the water, but just in case it gets too dirty, I've also got this tiny little filter.
Well, this place is now 100% complete and definitely is a big improvement from the trash I bought it as. And I'd say the enclosure is ready for the turtle. Let's get it in.
Oh, buddy, I got a big surprise for you. I know I've kept you in this temporary tank for a day, boy, but it was worth it because look at what I just built for you. Here you go, boy. Welcome to your new home.
Right away, the turtle climbed up onto the land to take a second to admire his new home. Then he jumped in the water and swam right up to a snail to try and start eating it, which wasn't possible, of course, because of the shell, so he kind of gave up.
Well, dang, clearly this guy's hungry, and I already know he has some crazy hunting tactics for worms. So let's go and test a bunch of different foods to see which he likes the most.
First of all, little turtle pellets. These are the normal food you feed your turtle, nothing crazy, but they provide some alright nutrients. Right away, he picked up the scent and ate one of them, then he continued to eat a bunch more. In fact, he was loving it so much that I even tried to do some tricks with him by dropping a pellet into his mouth, and yeah, he doesn't really have a good reaction time.
Okay, yeah, he definitely likes those, but next up, I've got a little cricket doused in calcium powder, which I'm just gonna go and put on the land. You gonna walk out? There you go.
You see, the calcium powder on this cricket not only makes it stand out more, but it also provides the nutrients to keep the turtle shelled nice and strong. Now, at first, it was just crawling around the land, so I knocked it in the water where the turtle, then it ate it. I didn't even get to capture the strike on camera since it was so fast, but yeah, you can see he thoroughly enjoyed it and even ate some scraps off the floor.
Okay, this guy likes to get his protein in. I like that, but he also has to get his fruits and veggies, or I guess just veggies, but I'm gonna try and feed him this carrot. Let's see what happens.
So I waved it in front of him for a second until he gave it a bit of interest underwater. He went up to it and bit it a couple times, but each time he bit it, he would just end up letting go. I guess his bite wasn't strong enough to cut off the carrot, so I cut a little piece off myself and put it in front of him. He then bit it, gave it a little taste, and ultimately just spat it back out. He's just like me, leaving his vegetables on the plate as he swam away.
Alright, now let's do some worms. And before I touch that thing with the dirt, let's just warm the turtle up to worms by feeding him some of these bloodworms.
Now you may already know this, but bloodworms come in these little packets and are frozen. But when they're put in water, they start to thaw out and scatter worms all over the place. So I waved them around in front of him like everything else, and immediately he snapped at it and basically ate them whole. Out of everything I had fed him so far, it seemed like he was enjoying this the most. So it was time to upgrade them with some giant nightcrawler worms now. You see, what I did was let a few go down into the dirt on the land area to hide in there. Then I got another worm and waved it around in front of the turtle to convince him to come up to the surface. Once he was there, I waited hoping he would do something, but he kind of just stood there, not stomping on the floor to convince the worms to come up. I even waved a worm in front of his head, and when he didn't show any interest, I put a whole pile of worms in front of him, which he still didn't care about. I guess for some reason he's only hungry in the water, so after he jumped back in, I waved a worm in front of him again, and literally instantly, yeah, he grabbed it and for like 3 minutes battled with it to eat the whole thing up. It was pretty funny to watch, actually. You see, normally these wood turtles are supposed to do this: stomp on the ground, which simulates raindrops, which for some reason causes the worms to surface. And when they do, the turtle gets a nice tasty meal.
But I guess my guy's a little bit lazy and he doesn't want to do that, but that's okay because he's cute.
first one just had a bunch of random insects, but in this video, I'll be flipping 100 different rocks in the Puerto Rican rainforests, find all sorts of weird lizards, venomous spiders, and even crazy snakes you've never seen. Way over to object number 2, and literally right under the piece of wood was this insane alien-looking creature. They're called tailless whip scorpions, and I've actually made entire videos about keeping these guys as pets. It's crazy we already found something this weird and rare, and so I continued exploring. Eventually, I came across object number 3, which underneath had this weird-looking white worm thing. But in fact, this is not a worm at all. It's a baby beetle. Basically, over time, these little larvae will start to mutate and eventually will break out of their shell and become a beetle. And this one is absolutely massive, so it's probably gonna turn into some giant mutant rainforest beetle with a massive horn. Hopefully we'll find one of those later, but anyways, I went and flipped rock 4, which had nothing underneath. From now on, I'm not gonna show anything with nothing, so it'll just be constant cool rainforest animals. And that's exactly what I found with rock number 7, because underneath was this weird white thing in a hole. But after moving around the dirt a bit, I realized this was actually a wolf spider's home. And that massive white thing, well, that's its egg sac, and soon it'll hatch into hundreds of mini spiders. You can see the spider mom was super defensive and did not leave the egg sac at all. So I put her home back and kept exploring. Soon after, I came across the next object, which when I tried to flip it, well, it kind of broke apart in my hands. And this happened because if you take a closer look on here, there's tons of these little white bugs crawling all over it. These are termites, which you probably already know eat wood like this. They'll literally just set up their entire colonies inside of these dead logs and just eat them from the inside out. Now, under object number 10, I found the coolest thing so far.
Oh shoot, what is that?
You see, on the bottom side of the log, I saw this little tail thing poking out from under the bark. At first, I thought it was some sort of worm, but if you look closely, you can see it has a bunch of tiny little scales on it, so it can't be a worm. So there was only one thing to do: get out the backpack. You see, in the backpack, I've packed tons of items to be able to interact with the wildlife out here. And the first item we're taking out is these tweezers. Using the tweezers, I started to peel back some of the bark on the log until I eventually revealed the animal. It really looked so much like a worm, but you can tell by how it was slithering around that it was actually a snake. These are called Brahmini blind snakes, and they're the smallest species in the whole world. Basically, this species spends their whole life underground just like worms do. And a fun fact about them is they're all female. Basically, they have the ability to clone their genes into an egg, and that's how more snakes are born. So if you ever see one of these in the wild, just know it has the same exact genes as this one does. It's pretty crazy. Now, by this point, I reached my first little water section of the trail, which was absolutely beautiful.
Well, dang, I don't really know if you can hear me, but this is a pretty nice area, as you can see. But basically, I just want to see if I can see something under the water with the GoPro.
Now, obviously, GoPros are waterproof, which lets me do this. And at first, it was kind of just a cloudy mess, but then this fish came out of nowhere. Knowing that there was at least one fish down here, I put the camera back under and figured out that there was a whole school of them. However, since the water was so cloudy, there was even more of those same fish, and now I could clearly see that these were mountain mullets, which are a species native to these Puerto Rican rainforests. You see, this species is really cool because they actually are born in oceans. And once they're born, they swim up the rivers into Puerto Rico to get to these remote rainforest streams. Then, when it's time to lay eggs, they swim back to the ocean and repeat the process. It's very cool. Also, by the way, right next to these fish were a ton of these little aquatic snails, which are super important for the environment because they eat up all the algae. Anyways, a bit later, I came across this rock with a little lizard sitting on top. When I got close, it of course ran away, but I figured this was a good omen, so I flipped it, and underneath there was nothing. But since that lizard was sitting on top of the rock, I figured that underneath of it could actually be its home. So I had an idea, and I got out the backpack, and inside I took out this little container of super worms. Then I basically put a bunch of them onto my hand and just put them under the rock in case the lizard wanted to eat some of them. Now, I was just gonna leave them and walk away, but then I noticed that that same exact lizard that was sitting on top of the rock had actually already ran over and ate one of the worms. And yeah, he was enjoying it a ton. You're welcome, buddy. There's more where that came from. And speaking of lizards eating stuff, nearby I also went and flipped this rock that had nothing underneath, but out of the corner of my eye, I noticed another lizard. And this guy instantly went on the run and started parkouring across the rocks to get away from me. But eventually, I did get a closer look and realized this was a green anole lizard, and it looked like there was something actually massive in its mouth. And the thing sticking out of its mouth kind of looked like the belly of another lizard, which would make sense because these green anole lizards are cannibalistic killers. And when they're hungry, they'll just straight up eat their friends. Yeah, talk about fake friends, am I right? Anyways, a bit later, I flipped this rock here, and underneath, I found my first ant colony. You see, ant colonies are a bit rarer in rainforests like this, which is why I didn't see any up to this point, so it was a kind of cool find. And then the rock I flipped right after also had another ant colony of the same exact species. Now, I'm pretty sure this species is called big-headed ants, which I can tell because as you can see, some of the workers have massive heads that are like 3 times the size of normal workers. This happens because at birth, the normal worker ants find the biggest and strongest pupa and spray a special pheromone on them. Then as the pupa grow older and older, they just grow up with massive heads and help move around some of the larger stuff that the small workers can't. In this case, the big-headed workers were helping move the eggs back underground since proper snake behind it. But as you can see, it was a little bit camera shy because it instantly slithered into the bushes before I could get a good look. So I got out the backpack and inside I packed this snake hook. Basically, people use these snake hooks to pick up deadly venomous snakes so they don't get bit. And obviously I didn't want to get bit, so using the hook, I started to dig around in the grass it slithered into and tried to look for it. But unfortunately, the hook just ended up breaking.
Bruh, it broke. Oh my gosh.
But this was still a good sign for cool rare animals, and trust me, we'll be finding more snakes very soon. Now, the next rock I flipped had this weird little fuzzy worm under it. Now, even after searching online, I couldn't really figure out what this is. I thought it could be like a moth cocoon, but I'm pretty sure those only grow on trees, so comment if you know what this is. But behind that crawled out this little bug, which, oh, I have experience with these guys a lot. These are called isopods, and they're sometimes called roly-polies because they roll up into a ball when threatened. But I love these guys because I always put them in the terrariums I build at home because they eat all the dead matter and keep everything clean. So yeah, thanks for existing, guys. You're awesome. I kept on venturing through the rainforest and eventually came across this fence with a few bricks laid on the floor under it. It looked like the perfect spot for animals to be hiding under, and I was right because under that first brick was this massive beetle. And after getting a closer look, I could tell this was some sort of rhinoceros beetle, which are called rhinoceros beetles because the males grow these massive horns on their head, which they use to fight each other with. But this is a female, which is why it doesn't have a horn. In fact, if you remember that massive beetle larva from earlier, I think that actually turns into one of these. So yeah, that's pretty cool that we got to find one of these. Under the next brick was this little centipede bug, and under the third brick was this little slug. I'm not sure what species this is, but I left my phone pointing at it for a couple minutes and got this cool time-lapse footage of it slugging around. Now, as I kept on venturing, I found a cool bug under this rock. At first, I know you can't really see anything, but if I zoom in and highlight this spot here, there's actually a cave cricket right here, which is just super camouflaged. But these guys are cool because they basically have the ability to teleport when they sense danger. Yeah, they really just move so fast that it looks like teleportation. That's pretty crazy. But this next rock I flipped had something I've never seen before. Of course, right there, you can tell that there was a little worm under the dirt, but above and to the left of it was this weird little white thing. I thought at first it could be like a termite or something, but after getting a closer look, I realized it resembled the shape of a worm egg sac. For some reason, I just never thought that worms came out of eggs. Yeah, apparently this is what it looks like when they're born. They just gotta rip their way out of an egg. Dang, that's cool. Now, by this point on the trail, I had gotten to this little section of paved road, and while I was walking on it, I ended up coming across this.
Oh shoot, wait, look at this. Oh shoot, it's a snake. Look at that.
But if you're wondering why it's not moving and blurred, well, that's because it was actually run over by a car here. Unfortunately, accidents like this are bound to happen on roads, but this is still a good sign for finding more cool animals like this. And thankfully, that's exactly what I found as I made it back to the trail. You see, the first rock I flipped, I saw a little burrow underneath, but I didn't even realize that there was something sitting on the rock I was grabbing.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I did not see that. Hold on, there's a hairy spider camouflaged on this rock right now.
This is actually a Puerto Rican tarantula, and they're extremely rare to just find out in the open in a day like this. Yeah, they usually spend their entire days underground in some sort of burrow. For this tarantula, I had to get out the backpack, and from inside, I once again pulled out this container of super worms. Then, using some tweezers, I basically just started to wave around the worms in front of the tarantula's face to see if he'd eat them. And yeah, it didn't really seem like he was liking it too much, because he got really defensive and ran into his burrow. He even started to run towards me, and since these guys are venomous, I did not want to make him any more angry, and I put his home back on top.
Sorry, buddy. I'll leave you alone now.
Anyways, I kept flipping random objects as I continued down the trail and wasn't finding many animals for a while. But I did find some pretty random stuff, like just a whole fruit under this leaf, which was like kind of mushy and moldy, so I didn't try and eat it. And also, while walking, I found this weird bone thing on the side of the trail. I'm not 100% sure what this bone belongs to, but I do know Puerto Rico used to have some like wild pigs running around back in the day, which I guess this would make sense if this was a pig bone, but let me know in the comments if you're a bone expert. I'm not really. Now, under Object 92, there was this little millipede, but also right next to it was this weird black bug I've never seen before. But I figured out it's called a rove beetle, and what makes them so cool are these spikes on their back. You see, when they dig under the dirt a bit, they poke out those spikes on their back to mimic little claws or pinchers poking out of the dirt, which will scare away predators. Also, apparently, they have wings they can just unfold like a robot and let them fly away. I have no idea how nature evolved to do this. Now, by this point, I was starting to get worried because it was starting to get late, and I knew there were still bigger tarantulas and scorpions to be found out here. And yeah, the next few rocks I flipped also had nothing, but that was until object number 96 when I found this. It was another tarantula, and this one is actually a Puerto Rican pink-toed tarantula, which is a slightly different species.
Okay, now this is cool. It's bigger than that first tarantula we just found. And since this guy's a bit bigger, I think I actually have something in the backpack for it.
From inside, I pulled out this stick, which actually lets me attach my GoPro camera to it. Basically, I want to use this stick to get the GoPro super close to the tarantula without having to worry about getting bit, and that's exactly what I did, because I went and gently nudged the leg of the tarantula with the GoPro, and it actually woke up. Then I bumped it again, and this time it ran around to the other side of the log. Finally, I just waved it around a bit more in front of him, and he wasn't really doing anything. To be honest, I don't really know what I expected. And now, as you can see, I was getting pretty near the end of the trail, and underneath some of the final objects, I was finding no new animals. And eventually, it got time to flip object 100, so I looked around for the best thing to flip. And while I was exploring, I actually came across this dirt area with this metal piece of trash in the middle. Of course, I looked inside of it to see if there was anything, and I didn't see anything at first, but for some reason, I decided to turn on my phone flashlight to double check. And that's when I found this. It's a scorpion. And not only was there that, because when I moved the trash to get a better angle at the scorpion, I found a second scorpion also on the walls of this trash. These are Puerto Rican bark scorpions, and they've actually got pretty painful stings.
Bro, this is so insane. This whole time I've been trying to find scorpions. And literally on object 100, this is where the scorpions are. Well, hey, I'm not complaining because I've packed something in the backpack specifically for if I found these guys, and it's a flashlight. Now, you may already know this, but if you turn on the flashlight and go through the modes or something, eventually it'll turn blue or purple, as you can see. And now if we go and shine this inside of here, look at that. Scorpions.
I went out and got 5 levels of insect stings that get progressively more painful. And I got my friend named Sai to take on this sting challenge.
I'm here to get stung by a couple insects, yeah?
Yep, that's right. And if you look at this paper, it's actually gonna start with only $100 if you take on the first sting, but by the end, you'll be able to win $10,000 if you take on the last sting.
$10,000 is no small amount of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. What's the $100 though?
$100, why don't you go and peel that off? You can figure out what it is.
Ants?
Yep, for $100, you're gonna have to put your hand on an ant nest for 30 seconds, meaning you might get stung multiple times. Are you still down to do this?
Still down.
Oh, you're still down. Let's go. Come on, follow me.
So I took him down a trail by my house till we found a harvester ant nest. Despite these guys being pretty small, they actually have pretty painful stings. But yeah, it's pretty much nothing compared to the stings later in this video.
For $100, put your hand on the ant nest in 3, 2, 1.
Now, Sai has to keep his hand here for 45 seconds to win, but unfortunately it wasn't looking good for him because immediately workers started to swarm onto his hand.
It's super tickly. I haven't gotten bitten yet.
No stings or anything?
Not yet.
You're straight up on their nest and they're not even defending it. These ants suck.
But oh boy, did things quickly start escalating, because out of nowhere, like 15 more ants started swarming onto his hand to investigate what it was. Still not stinging it though.
Do you feel anything?
It's just super tickly. I don't know if I haven't felt anything sharp just yet.
And I was thinking he wasn't gonna get stung at all as the timer started to run out. 3, 2, 1, and...
Oh! Oh my god! Ow! Oh!
Yeah, so apparently Sai literally got stung at the very last second, but by just one ant, thankfully.
Oh, that's sharp. That feels really sharp. It's like a tiny little needle. That feels really sharp.
But the thing is, that was only sting number 1. This video still has a way crazier stings coming up, ending with the cow killer.
You can either take the $100 right now, or you can say yes to the $500 challenge. What are you thinking?
You know what? Let's do it. $500.
All right, follow me.
Alrighty.
Now, I quickly brought Sai to the place where the second insect sting was going to take place.
Welcome, Sai. You said you wanted to take on the $500 sting challenge. Is that right?
Yep.
All right, then. Why don't you go and just peel that off?
And so he peeled the sticky note off.
A wasp?
Yup, it's a wasp.
Oh man. I remember being super young and getting stung by one of these. I cried for 3 hours.
Oh, and this is only the $500 sting. The 10,000 sting is a lot worse. But don't worry, you can walk away at any time if you want.
No, this is only level 2. I'm gonna keep going.
Oh, okay. I like that.
So I got out the container that had a wasp inside. This is a yellow jacket, and they're known for their insanely sharp sting. So this should be pretty interesting.
All right, Sai, let's waste no time. You got the wasp there. He looks pretty angry. For $500, get your arm out and put that cup on your arm.
Alrighty.
Yup, so we went and put the cup on his arm at the place where he was gonna get stung.
All right, Sai, I'm gonna start pulling it out. Oh, wow, this thing is
it's
getting
mad.
mad. All right, I'm just gonna pull the paper towel out and let's see if it stings. It's really mad, Sai.
It's getting mad.
Pause. By the way, I gotta mention this, but do not try this at home, obviously. As a YouTuber, I've taken tons of safety precautions behind the scenes to make sure this is a safe test. And similar to why Coyote Peterson gets stung by all those crazy bugs, our goal today is to figure out which bug actually has the craziest sting and make an entertaining video. Anyways, let's get back to the wasp. Yep, this dude was furious trying to escape, but wasn't immediately stinging, surprisingly. I think because the wasp didn't even know that there was an arm under him. He might have just thought that this was floor under him.
Let me tap the side of the glass. Maybe we can get him mad. Sting him. $500, Mr. Wasp.
It's literally on my skin, bro. Just stick it in already.
And thankfully, Sai's wish came true immediately after he said that, because this happened.
Okay.
It stung you? Wait, you actually just got stung, Sai?
Yep. It definitely hurts more than I remember.
How much is it hurting, like out of 10, you would say?
A 6 or 7 out of 10.
6 or 7? Come on, bruh.
And yeah, if he's already saying these are about a 6 out of 10 on the pain level, then I can't even imagine what he's gonna say the cow killer sting at the end is. Should be fun.
So, you've officially won $500, but the big question is, are you gonna want to take on the $1,000 challenge?
You know, the wasp wasn't the worst thing in the world. Definitely worse than the ants, but I think for $1,000, whatever's next is worth it.
Really? For $1,000?
I'm gonna do it for $1,000.
Bro, this could be like super painful. You're just gonna do it?
I'm just gonna do it.
All right, here's the $1,000. We'll put that there.
So, I peeled off the sticky note to reveal the animal.
Oh, it's a crab.
Yeah, it's a crab.
It's kind of cute though.
Yeah.
It won't be that bad.
Oh, okay.
Now, Sai is right. Usually crab pinches are not as painful as insect stings. But the reason I'm having Sai get pinched instead of stung for this round is actually to prepare him for the $2,500 round, where he's gonna be getting stung by something that not only has a stinger, but it also has pinchers. Anyways, I opened up the box that the crab was inside of so I could show Sai what he was about to be getting pinched by in this round. And here it is, a rainbow land crab.
All right, so we got the crab out the container, as you can see, and what are you thinking of it? First impressions.
It's very colorful, and the claw on the left there is kind of big, but
Yup, crabs actually have one big claw to use for extra crushing power, so hopefully Sai gets pinched by that. But actually, something I noticed about this crab was that it was actually injured. You see, normally crabs are supposed to have 4 legs on both sides of their bodies, but this dude only has 2 legs on this side of his body. I'm not sure how he lost 2 of his legs, but because of this, I wanted to make sure I built this guy a nice little enclosure. That way he'd have a place to rest after the pinch test. But yeah, don't worry, this didn't take long because we just immediately started to spam place a bunch of rocks all along the side of the enclosure. Now, this may look kinda like trash, but I'm actually trying to recreate a rocky coastal environment that these crabs are used to in the wild.
All right, could you help me outside? Could you pour the water in?
yeah, I got you.
Let's get this crab a nice home. Oh, yeah, yep, get that water in. Yep, you're pretty good at
He's
this.
swimming forever.
After we got the water in, I started to scatter around some of these random decorations, and obviously I planted some plants in the water, cause it wouldn't be a terra green enclosure without some. Finally, I put some final technology in, like a filter and a water heater, so we could have this build finished. Anyways, yeah, we quickly introduced this crab into the enclosure, and it seemed like he liked it. And he immediately found some nice little places to hide at. But obviously, Sai has a $1,000 to win. Let's do this test.
All right, Sai, for $1,000, you can go ahead and take the crab out of the container and, yeah, you can just get pinched. Do it however you want. Just take it out.
Let's see how it goes.
All right, you're just gonna let it crawl out. Let's see this.
So yeah, immediately the crab ran straight up to Sai's finger, and it looked like he meant business. But Sai actually thought the best way to do this test would be to pick up the crab. So yeah, that's what he did.
All right, so you got a hold of it. That's a
Yeah.
pretty smart move, but all right, his pinchers are ready.
All right, let's do it.
Go ahead.
So Sai started to put his finger up to the claw of the crab, and the crab started to give the most vicious, brutal pinch of all time, as you can see. I'm just kidding. It was barely pinching.
What are you feeling?
Not much. I mean, he's kind of just sleeping, it seems like.
Bro, what is this crab doing? You're
idea.
holding him in his hand, like, and he's just grabbing
we're
on.
best friends. We're holding hands. I mean, this guy's my friend. Can I keep him?
Yeah, actually, it was kind of funny how friendly this crab was. I mean, it genuinely just looks like the crab is hugging Sai's arm here. It's actually kind of cute.
All right, Sai, would you say that was easy or hard?
I think that was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Well, I didn't tell you about the second part of the challenge where you gotta let that crab actually pinch your cheek on your face.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, he really thought the crab was so weak that he was genuinely smiling and happy to do this.
It's licking me.
It's licking you.
I feel like it is. Kind of wet.
Yeah, it is a crab.
That's a fair point.
But yeah, if you couldn't already assume, the crab also didn't really do any real damage here. He just kind of gave it the slightest little pinch ever.
Well, Sai, that might have been the freest $1,000 of your entire life.
Possibly.
But remember, the only reason I wanted Sai to get pinched by a crab is to prepare him for our next animal.
All right, Sai, we're so close to the final animal sting for $10,000. But first, we still got to do the $2,500 sting, and I got the money right here. Do you want to say yes to that sting?
Based off how easy the last one was, I think we do it. It can't be that hard compared to the crab.
Oh, you want to do it? Let's peel this off.
So I took the sticky note off to reveal the next sting, a giant desert hairy scorpion.
So, Sai, you got to get stung by America's largest scorpion species.
Okay, that's probably gonna be a lot worse than the crab.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. You know what? For $2,500, I think we can tank it.
Let's do it.
But you could tell Sai was starting to get a lot more skeptical. And this time, he wanted to spend a bit of time to research online to figure out if it was actually safe to get stung by a desert hairy scorpion. Now, these guys got pretty painful venom, but of course, everything I've chosen in this video is completely safe for Sai to get stung by. It's just a bit painful, of course.
So, Sai, what do you think? Is this something you're down to get stung by after researching on Google?
Yeah, I mean, based off what Google said, seems pretty safe, but it's definitely gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna hurt, but for $2,500, I mean, what do you expect? Let's do this. Yeah, can you get your finger out? Yep, and can you get it inside?
So yeah, at first Sai wasn't really sure of how to get stung, so he kind of just started to tap the scorpion's claws and stuff to see if he could get it mad. But you see, scorpions are actually nocturnal, so I knew it was pretty unlikely that this dude was just gonna randomly sting Sai since we were recording during the day. And after like a minute or two of Sai very fearfully putting his finger around and even on the scorpion, my theory was proved right because the scorpion was actually being very chill and not even stinging him once. You see, when people like Coyote Peterson did their scorpion sting tests, they actually grabbed the stinger of the scorpion with tweezers. So I figured I should do the same thing here to ensure this test went very smoothly.
All right, Sai, 3, 2, 1. Ow. Oh, did it sting you?
Yep.
Oh, shoot. What does it feel like?
Oh, it's not that bad, but it's sharp. It's sharp.
Nah, you just got stung by a scorpion and you're saying it's not that bad.
I felt it go into my skin.
Shoot, that must have been painful.
Yep, apparently the pain immediately wasn't so bad. But he did tell me as the minutes went on, he could feel the venom sort of spreading around the area where he got stung. But even the scorpion sting is nothing compared to the final insect sting.
Sai, I have to admit, you've done a great job so far. But if you want to win the $10,000 prize, I mean, you still have to take on the most painful sting. And what do you think is under that sticky note? Like, genuinely.
I have no clue. I mean, it could really be anything, but I'm hoping it's something friendly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna tell you, it's absolutely not something friendly.
That's a lot of money. I think I'll do it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Why don't you just peel that sticky note off? For $10,000, you gotta get stung by a cow killer.
You're joking.
No.
Are you serious?
Yes, you saw the videos of Coyote Peterson getting stung by that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, Sai actually wanted to rewatch that classic Coyote Peterson cow killer sting to see how bad this was actually gonna be.
Oh my gosh, that thing's huge. Oh.
Nah, that's about to happen to you, Sai. Shoot.
Oh no, it's even worse when you're watching it and you're knowing it's gonna happen to you.
Yeah, Sai is gonna have a great time.
Now, Sai, we're not gonna waste any time. The cow killer's in this bag. Do you wanna take it out for me?
I'm gonna get stung though.
No, just take it out.
Oh, Okay.
So Sai opened up the bag to reveal not actually the cow killer, but the brand new Green plushies. We got this jumbo snake plushie with the channel logo all over it, and a cute little axolotl too.
And also, Sai, each plushie comes with a custom trading card. You want to give this one an open?
Oh, yes. Like Pokemon when I was a kid.
Yep.
Let's see what it is.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, sweet.
Yep. Yeah, it just comes with every order for free. It's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Store.com.
Hey, that's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Yep, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Anyways, I actually wasn't lying. The cow killer is actually inside of this bag, so Sai pulled it out so we could get our first look at it.
Sai, what do you think of this thing?
It's so small for being something so painful.
Yeah, and they say this thing's sting is so strong that it's able to kill cows.
Is that real?
Well, no, these things have actually never actually harmed someone. They're just extremely painful, so there's nothing for you to worry about.
That's good then.
Yeah.
So I went and picked this thing up with some tweezers, and mine is a bit small, so it's hard to see, but if you look very closely, you can actually see the stinger here retracting in and out. Cow killers have the longest stingers in the world, so they can inject their venom super deep into the victim.
All right, Sai, we're just gonna jump straight into this. I got it here, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna put this on your arm right now.
Okay, I'm really scared. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna really hurt. All right, $10,000. That's a lot of Green plushies. Oh, ow!
Oh, did it sting you?
Oh, yep, that's like deep.
Oh, it stung you.
Yep, it literally happened so fast, I didn't even realize he got stung. But based off of his reaction, he definitely did. Yeah, he was feeling it.
It burns. It feels like it's down there in the middle of my arm.
That thing just injected its stinger down deep into your arm and put that venom up in there.
Does my skin it looks red?
Yeah, that thing, it's just gonna get a big red spot there over time.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, this pain can sometimes last for up to days, but to make sure Sai didn't have to endure that, I put some of this special stuff on his arm that should help get rid of the sting as much as possible.
Sai, I have good news. You are now the proud owner of $10,000.
This is a $100,000 two-headed snake that literally has a different personality in each head. And I'll be showing you why this is the most expensive snake on Earth, along with a $25,000 largest snake in the world, all the way down to a literal $1 snake.
Yes, so this first snake I was actually able to buy for only $1. Just from some guy on eBay saying he just wanted it gone. But this snake inside is looking extremely weird. I gotta get a closer look at this.
So I opened up the container to reveal that my suspicions were correct. This thing looked extremely abnormal. It literally didn't have scales like a normal snake would, and in fact, it looked more like a mutant worm. But little did I know that these things have some of the scariest mouths out of any animal on Earth.
Yo, and this thing is like slimy. Is this even a snake?
Now, I was right to be suspicious because when I went to scan a picture of this into Google, it told me that indeed it was not even a snake. It said that this is actually something called a giant Mexican Sicilian.
Yo, and it's saying this thing has some of the craziest hunting abilities. Oh my gosh, I just got to test this.
In order to see its special abilities, I quickly built this dude up a home. Google told me to use a bunch of moist dirt to make a deep floor area so the worm snake thing can dig around. Then I put some natural decorations around, and finally, these Sicilian creatures sometimes can be fully aquatic in the wild, but in captivity, all we need is this nice little water dish to fill its water needs.
Well, boy, let me get you in. Now, apparently, these things do have poisonous skin, which is why I'm using a snake hook. And well, now he's in there. Let's see his special abilities he has.
Now, these guys' first special ability is, well, they love to dig in dirt, like I was saying earlier. You can see how quickly he just completely disappeared from sight. And well, while this guy settles into his new home, I just had to find some videos of this species hunting. And in this amazing video by Millipedes, we could see how this Sicilian just slowly inches up to a mealworm, acting all innocent and stuff, but the second he gets within striking distance, it pounces onto the worm and instantly starts to drag it underground, where we can then see it finish off the mealworm down there. But the thing is, this Sicilian hunting is not even nearly the coolest thing in this video. Like, what does the world's longest snake even eat? Well, to find out, let's go to our next snake, which is 250 times more expensive.
And I specifically chose this species because it has an insanely unique special ability that I just have to test.
If you're wondering what species is inside this container, well, everyone, this is a western hognose snake. And yep, it actually costed exactly $250. The prices in this video are not a lie. But anyways, Anyways, these things are freaky because the patterns on their back almost look identical to the patterns on a rattlesnake. It has almost the same color too. But the main characteristic that makes this thing stand out is its nose. That, well, kind of makes it look like a hog, apparently, hence why they are called a hog-nosed snake. Pretty creative.
Now anyways, this thing is actually a real snake, unlike the $1 one, but that means we gotta build it another enclosure. Oh yeah, that was a pretty cool transition. But anyways, this will let us show off its special ability.
Now for the floor, we want to use a material called snake aspen, which is perfect for our $250 snake because it's super easy to dig and burrow through, which yeah, in the wild, these guys apparently like to do to stay protected from the intense desert heat. Then we want to add tons of decorations like this snake hide so the snake can slither inside. And yeah, even though this enclosure looks pretty barren and empty, that's exactly what the snake species prefers, so it can slither around a ton.
So yeah, basically the reason I wanted to get this species is because they're the drama queens of the snake world. They basically put on this crazy show to scare off any predator that gets near them.
But yeah, this guy was just non-stop hissing at me if you listen closely. So I decided to pick him up with tweezers and moved him to the new enclosure.
Okay, there we go. Jeez Louise, you are a feisty fella, Mr. Snake. But the thing is, I didn't even get to show off its coolest special ability yet. Let me try and do that.
Unfortunately though, before I could show you that, the snake decided it was time to go for a little burrow. Yep, like I said earlier, this is something they do to hide from the intense desert heat. This is not their main ability though, but it's just kind of cool to see that they can do this like our first one.
And yes, I actually do have a heat lamp that will recreate the desert heat. I just don't have it set up right now because it makes it easier to film without the roof on.
Anyways, I dug up the snake so I could show you guys its special ability.
First of all, why don't you take a look at his head?
If you look very closely, this snake's head has actually gotten like 2 times as big as it was before. They're actually able to puff out their cheeks when a potential predator is nearby to mimic a rattlesnake's head shape. It's also sort of similar to how cobras make their neck come out to look bigger.
But the main thing the snake does to not get eaten is it actually plays dead.
So while the snake slithered to darkness so he would feel safe, take a look at this footage of when this guy went up to a wild western hognose snake and he started to put his hand near it. Almost instantly, the snake decided to play dead, so it flipped on its back and started to give the funniest performance I've ever seen. And eventually, it just stopped moving completely, and when this dude went to pick it up, you could see how good of an actor it is. It's so funny too, because every time he would flip the snake right side up, it would just flip back upside down instantly. Yo, shout out to Nicole Berry, he's the one who uploaded this, and he has tons of other videos like this. Anyways, I quickly finished setting up everything in his tank and gave him a little water bowl too. As a reward for scaring it a little bit while I was moving it, I gave it a nice juicy mouse. Yeah, pretty cool to watch these guys eat. They'll eat about 1 of these a week during this stage of life, but remember guys, this video is just getting started. I have so many other questions, like do $100,000 two-headed snakes fight over their food? Well, we're about to find out. So next up, let's see what a $500 snake looks like.
Now, we're getting pricey, but it's for a very good reason, as you'll see. But yeah, this snake was kind of just shipped in this bag. I feel kind of bad for it. Let me get this out really quickly.
Inside of this bag is a special kind of snake called a Woma python. And he was not happy about being in that shipping bag. He kept trying to strike at me through the glass, but you could see how beautiful this species is with that striped tan and orange color.
Okay, the reason I got this guy for the $500 species is because they're known for being one of the friendliest snake species. But this guy has tried to strike at me a lot. But yeah, I guess he's just super stressed from the shipping.
Obviously, I don't want this guy to be stressed or angry at me, so I put this box over the top to give him some nice darkness, and I went and put him in a secluded and warm part of my house while I built his home. Now I'm just gonna speed run this build in order to not bore you guys, but yeah, it's basically the same as that last enclosure, only this time I put way more wood and branches so the python would have some area to climb over. And these guys can get big, so that's why this enclosure is pretty massive.
Anyways, I got the snake right here. Let's give a check on him. How are you doing in there? And okay. If you don't know what the brown stuff on the floor is, well, it might be poop. But no, that's actually a super good sign, because if you didn't know, when the snakes are in their shipping containers, they don't go to the bathroom at all. But the fact he's just let it all out means he feels a lot warmer and safer now, and that's good. I'm happy you're feeling a little bit better, buddy.
And to make sure he felt even safer, I went and moved him into the enclosure. I still didn't really feel comfortable enough to hold him based off how much he wanted me dead. But yeah, pretty simple stuff, and he went to go slither to safety. He was definitely starting to feel less stressed.
All right, the main reason I wanted to get the friendliest snake species in the world is because, as many of you know, my mom is like scared of all the pets I get. So I was thinking this was gonna help her cure her fear of snakes. But little is she gonna know when we try to feed it, this guy, he's not so friendly right now. All right, Mom, can you come in the garage? Hi, I just got a new pet to show you today.
Okay.
So why don't you come over here and just take a look in this tank and tell me what you see.
Oh my gosh. What kind of snake is this?
That's called a Woma python, and I wanted to get this species because it is the friendliest species in the world,
Yeah,
actually.
right. It looks like it's crazy, like it's just gonna strike any second.
Yeah, he is kind of mad right now, but I want to cure your fear of snakes, basically. So I need you to feed it.
No.
All right, go ahead, stick it inside.
Shaking. All right, this is the first time you fed him too, right?
Yeah, he's super hungry. That's the main reason why he's so angry right now. All right, he's coming, he's coming. Come on, eat it. He looks hungry. You can see the hunger in his eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Are you scared right now?
Yeah, a little bit.
This is supposed to cure your fear, though. Make some mouse noises. Maybe you can trick him. Nice.
Yeah, this dude was taking a while to eat, but eventually we caught this.
Maybe if you just like, don't drop it, but like move.
Oh my god, dude, we're closing this now. I'm gonna get a replay of that to see exactly what just happened because it was scary.
But it looks like he's going to hide in his little hide, so I don't want to stress him out anymore if he's not that hungry. So yeah, thanks for trying to feed him though.
But don't worry, literally as soon as later that day, this snake was feeling way more comfortable and he finally started to eat. Let's go. This is gonna be a sick pet, but it's not even gonna be nearly as cool as our final 2 snakes. Yes, sir. Next up, we got a $25,000 largest snake in the world.
You see, this species is called giant reticulated pythons, and they are absurdly big. And if you can't already tell, I probably don't have enough space right here. I would literally have to transform my whole garage into an enclosure.
That's why instead, to be able to see and learn about a $25,000 snake, I hopped on a plane and flew across the country to this amazing reptile zoo that supposedly has one of these insane snakes.
Yo, what's up? I just traveled across the country because I heard you guys got some of the craziest snakes here. Is that true?
We did.
Oh my gosh, you gotta show me.
Okay, you wanna see him?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's go.
So I followed her across the zoo, and this place was crazy. They had animals everywhere, including literal alligators.
Oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into?
But eventually, I got to this area here and waited while she brought out the $25,000 snake.
Oh my gosh, this thing is insane.
Yes, this is the giant reticulated python, an absolute beast of a snake. And honestly, I was kind of even scared to stand near it. This thing could easily take me out if it wanted to.
This is actually just kind of crazy to stand by. I can just touch it. Like, this is bigger than my hand. What? So how long can this species kind of get? I mean, like, is this like the longest species in the world?
Yeah, so they in the wild have been measured up to 30 feet.
Yup, imagine being outside and just seeing a snake over 30 feet long. I would instantly run away. But before we figure out the exact length of this specific snake, I wanted to try and hold it. But if you couldn't guess, it was insanely hard to do with just one hand because of this snake weighing a minimum of 150 pounds. But despite its massive size, you could tell the snake was being extremely friendly towards us and not biting us or anything. Very interesting.
So how long does it take for one of these snakes to get this long? Like,
It depends on how you feed them. But normally about 7 to 10 years, something like that.
so wow, this thing is 10 years old, and how small do they start? I mean, do you have like an egg or something? Like we can show how it hatched?
I actually do. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, let's go see
let's
that.
Go see it.
So she brought me over here where they have tons of these trays full of eggs. Yeah, they keep them in these containers to make sure they have the perfect level of heat to hatch. Yeah, she showed me what one of them looked like, and it's just insane how a snake can hatch out of something like this, then eventually one day be this big. That's a massive size increase.
So yeah, what do they eat to get this big?
Well, I don't know if you're going to want to hear it. They eat about a 10-pound rabbit.
So they just eat giant rabbits. Like, how big would it be? Like, can you show with your hands?
It'd be like, it's a big size rabbit.
Oh.
Nah, so they really just slither around in the wild looking for innocent little rabbits, and then they pounce on it and absolutely devour it. Yeah, rest in peace to any rabbits that see snakes like this. But you see, what makes this species so good at hunting is they literally have these built-in heat sensors on their face. All of these tiny little holes on the upper lip of the python can track exactly where a live prey is, which basically just gives them wall hacks to see rabbits amongst tall, thick grass. And this snake, compared to everyday objects, is pretty cool because here it is next to a massive spray bottle. It is so much bigger. Then here it is next to a water bottle. Yep, pretty big. And of course, here it is next to the Vinegaroon snake plushie, which even though this awesome snake plushie is a whopping 36 inches long, even when this python is completely curled up, it kind of dwarfs the size of the plushie. But yeah, this thing curled up is approximately 56 inches long, but fully stretched out, this thing easily reaches over 20 feet.
This is so cool. But the craziest thing is I've heard this is not even your guys' rarest snake, is it?
Oh, nowhere near. Nowhere near.
Oh my gosh. Can you show
wanna
me?
see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it over here. I got it over here.
Yup, the $100,000 snake is also located at this reptile zoo. And guys, it's the two-headed snake. There's only a handful of two-headed snakes in existence, and this zoo doesn't only just have one or two. They have 3 two-headed snakes. So I waited here for her to bring out one for me to see.
Wow, wait, so this is the two-headed snake you guys have, right?
This is the two-headed snake.
Oh my gosh. It's not gonna bite me, right?
Nah, I don't.
Oh!
Yep, literally instantly, this snake tried to bite me, which is kind of a surprise because this specific snake actually knows me. About a year ago, I visited the guy who originally hatched this snake, and I made a whole video about it. But this zoo literally bought it from him, and a lot has changed about this snake, and I'm gonna show you guys some very interesting stuff.
So the thing that's so interesting about these two-headed snakes is they have like 2 different personalities, is that right?
Mm-hmm. They can very much. There's usually a dominant and a non-dominant.
And we can see how that was instantly demonstrated with this left dominant head literally just pulling the right head along as it just sat there. But super interestingly, sometimes the 2 heads will almost fight in which direction they want to go, which causes the two-head snake to just sit there motionless, not moving at all. And here is some footage I recorded last year of this two-headed snake eating some mice. As you can see, both the heads struck at the mice at the same time, but only the left head was actually able to grab onto his mouse. And as that left head started to swallow, all of a sudden the right head decided to just grab on too, so now they were both eating the same mouse. But this could actually be bad for two-headed snakes, so the owner separated the heads, and he gave a separate mouse to the right head so they could both eat in peace. Pretty cool. Anyways, as you can see, this is 1,000 mosquito eggs, and in just a couple days, they're going to hatch into 1,000 actual flying mosquitoes that I'm going to be doing the most interesting experiments with, like feeding them a pool of blood. Anyways, right now, the mosquito eggs we have are dormant, but all they need to hatch is a bit of water. The second a dry mosquito egg touches water, the embryos inside absorb it and basically come to life. And literally within only a few minutes of adding in the water, check out this area right here. A tiny little white speck started to poke out from the top of this single egg. Everyone, this is a mosquito larva, also known as a wiggler. And yeah, you can probably tell why they're called wigglers based on how much they wiggle, but over the next few days, this will eat food and literally evolve into a fully grown mosquito. It will actually be one of the craziest things you'll ever see. Oh, but yeah, I almost forgot. We don't just have one, we have 1,000 mosquitoes that we're gonna be raising. And only a minute later, another wiggler started to wiggle out, then another, and soon enough, this tank was starting to get overrun with our new pets. I have to be so careful in this video.
Oh my gosh, this is so weird. Literally 1,000 mosquito larvae are right here. But if we want them to turn into real mosquitoes, there's a couple things we gotta do to speed up their growth process. Of course, starting with feeding them. And I don't even know what these things eat. I mean, they're practically microscopic at this stage. Yeah. I mean, I guess let me just search, what do mosquito larvae eat? Enter. And it looks like they eat microscopic organic matter. Oh, I actually have an idea of how I could do this.
This is fish food. Yeah, not super special, but for when the larvae are this small, it works perfectly to crush up into tiny little pieces. And immediately after dropping in some of this crushed food, it sank down to the bottom for the larvae to start eating. Since the larvae were just born about an hour ago, they're still so unbelievably small that it's just so hard to see, but you can kind of make out the shape of its mouth if you look very closely right here. It's insane how there's a brain and actual life in something this tiny. Anyways, you can see they tried to eat most of this food, but it's still a bit big. So once it dissolves into the water, it'll become even easier for these guys to eat it.
But things get fun quickly because these wigglers more than double in size every 24 hours. So I have a feeling if we come back tomorrow, these guys are going to be a lot bigger. Good morning, Terra Greeners. I just woke up. The mosquitoes are probably bigger now. I haven't really checked though. Let me look. Wait, I haven't even zoomed in yet. And wait, you can literally see. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, if you can't tell by this footage, the larvae are so much bigger now. And when I turned on my camera to record them in detail, I was amazed by how much they grew literally overnight. The day before, this was the most zoomed in footage I could get of these guys. But now, the larvae almost filled up the entire frame, and look at how much more detailed they are. This black bulb at the bottom is their heads, and they're so big already, we can make out their mouth a lot easier, and we can even see their tiny little eyes. These guys are so cool, because you can literally see how their mouth works as a little boat motor essentially, and they can just use it to slowly drift among the water surface. Sometimes they'll even curl up and start sucking up microscopic food particles from the surface.
Okay, well this video is all about doing the funnest experiments with the mosquitoes, so next up, I want to test their light instincts. Because if you didn't know, adult flying mosquitoes are insanely mainly attracted to light. I mean, they'll just swarm light at night. But I was wondering if that instinct starts when they are babies.
Well, to figure it out, I turned off all the lights in my garage and watched what they did. Pretty quickly, the larvae actually started to rise to the surface way more. If you remember, most of the larvae were spending most of their time together, sort of near the bottom of the tanks when the lights were on. But yeah, with the lights off, they all like to be on the surface, apparently.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. But now what I want to do is take this super bright studio light and position it pointing right at the side of the enclosure. So that way we can turn it on. Oh. There we go. And we can see what they do. Yeah, let's see.
And literally the second after turning on this light, like magic, the larvae started to migrate away from it. And they all started to gather up on the right side as far away from the light as possible.
Wait, so these guys are moving away from the light. Huh, that's interesting. The fully grown mosquitoes, they'll completely swarm light. But when they're larvae, they will completely avoid it.
So to confirm my theory, I turned off this light and moved it over to the right side. And immediately the larvae did exactly what I thought they would, and they went back to the left side. Since I could kind of control where they were, I thought it'd be funny to kind of just swap the lights on and off on each side and, you know, make them do some exercise. Listen, okay, I gotta train some strong, capable mosquitoes for when I put them up against a pile of blood. It's gonna be so interesting.
Dang, that is actually so cool to watch how they do that. And apparently they do this because they don't want to get eaten by fish, of course, and if they're in the darkness, then it's obviously harder for the fishes to see them. But actually, very interestingly, while I was doing that last test, if I go and stir the floor around like that and zoom in, you can see there's tons of what almost looks like just dead mosquito larvae that is just drifting around in the water. Now, I got worried for a second. I thought something was going around killing all the mosquitoes, but don't worry. I actually figured out that these are not dead mosquito larvae.
You see, what these are actually the old skin of our current larvae. You see, these guys apparently shed off their old skin 4 times before becoming a flying mosquito. Basically, just like how other animals will molt their skin off when it's time to grow bigger.
So of course, now that I know that, for the next experiment, I gotta see if I can capture on camera a shot of them molting. Basically, what I'm gonna do is go and move my lights back to the, the back of the enclosure. And basically, that's gonna cause all the larvae to go and swim to the front. And then I can just leave my camera running for like 24 hours, and surely I could capture at least one of these guys molting to get that shot for you guys.
And so yeah, I recorded this for like 2 hours, and after thoroughly reviewing all of the footage, none of the larvae actually shed their skin, unfortunately. But obviously, I was not gonna give up. So I spent hours actively recording with my camera, watching every single larvae at the water surface. Apparently, they only molt out their skin when they're hanging upside down from the top. And after about 2 hours, I found this larva. You can tell he was about to molt by the fact that he was hanging upside down for a pretty long time without moving. And every now and then, he would try and twitch to squeeze out of his old skin. If you look very closely right here, you can see his old skin starting to slide up and off. And this white part right here is his new skin underneath. But after watching this guy for like another hour, all of a sudden he just started to float down and he fell all the way to the floor and completely stopped moving. Yeah, apparently the molting process is actually really grueling for mosquitoes, and there's a chance that they can use all their energy while doing it and die, which I guess just happened to this guy. Rest in peace, bro. But of course, this was not gonna stop me because I kept recording for longer and longer until I eventually caught this footage. Keep in mind, this is literally the first footage on the internet of a mosquito larvae molting because of how hard it is to catch. So you can't complain about how trash this footage quality is. But anyways, you can see it started to shake violently and it started to slide out of its old skin. This dark part is his new skin, and eventually he was able to fully slide out and only his molt was left behind. It's so cool to watch this happen, and after it does, the new larvae swims away and leaves the old skin behind, which that skin will probably get eaten by another larvae very soon for some protein.
Let's go. I'm so happy we just got to see that. But in fact, I just spent so long trying to get that shot that almost all of our larvae now are pretty much fully grown, meaning yes, we're about to have 1,000 mosquitoes hatching in just a matter of days. And about that, it would be extremely illegal and just really bad if a mosquito escaped, let alone 1,000 mosquitoes. So I have a feeling it's time we build some sort of containment system. Oh man.
Now thankfully, I had this big tank sitting in my garage, which would actually be a perfect fit to put over our current tank. So when the mosquitoes hatch, they won't be able to just fly away. But obviously, there's a big opening on the bottom, which would be bad if we had to move this. All the mosquitoes would get out. So what I did was put our current tank in here while the big one was sideways. And then I got this piece of clear acrylic that I'm going to be able to attach to the front.
And when I attach this piece of acrylic, it's gonna make sure no mosquitoes can get out. But you're probably wondering why I got all these massive holes right here. Well, what I'm gonna do is this. And as you can see, I just put mesh in each of the corners so, you know, air can get in. But I left this hole open in the middle so I can put a little door here so we'll be able to put stuff in, but mosquitoes won't be able to get out.
It's pretty simple to make though, because all we gotta do is attach this little sleeve contraption I made and put a clamp on the end.
Basically how it works is if you want to put your arm inside, you go ahead and take off the safety clamp like that. And basically what you do is while you're holding it still, you gotta carefully stretch your arm inside, and then boom, when it's around your arm, it's very airtight and you can go ahead and put your arm inside. And you see I have access to here and the mosquitoes won't be able to get out, and it's very easy to go and take my arm out, keep it shut, and then I can go and put the clamp back on.
And after I had my dad silicone the acrylic on, boom, this containment system is done. But guys, there's actually something I didn't tell you about these mosquitoes. In their life cycles, there's a whole nother stage of life before becoming mosquitoes that lasts about a day. And when I came back the next day to my tank, I noticed they were already entering it.
Oh my gosh, guys, look at what I just saw. Take a look at the larvae in here. You see these little circular things swimming around next to the actual larvae? Those are the pupae, and that means they're about to hatch.
You see, these pupae are also called tumblers because, well, they tumble down when they sense potential danger nearby. But the coolest thing is how these guys look. They got these weird, scary looking eyes. They got little horns that act as snorkels for oxygen. And of course, they look way different from a larva with that cool shrimp-shaped body. And if you're wondering how it looks when a larva turns into a pupae, well, this awesome footage from Backyard Bugs shows it. Basically, the skin splits at the thorax area, and very similarly to how the larvae molt, the new pupae will slide out, and yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yes, sir. These guys are so cool, but we haven't even got to see the coolest part where they literally crawl out the pupae, and it's like an alien movie. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't think that shot's gonna be too hard to get because we're on like day 8, and check what has just started to hatch. Yep, that is a mosquito, meaning there's like 3 mosquitoes in here right now, so it shouldn't be long till we have much more.
You see, the pupae get darker and darker as they get closer to turning into a mosquito. So since this pupae is bright white, I know he won't be hatching anytime soon, but these pupae here are extremely dark, meaning the mosquito is right under that skin, ready to crawl out.
So to make the shot even easier to get, I'm gonna suck all the darkest pupae up into this little pipette and put them in this container to make it easier to record.
Now, since the mosquitoes have already started to hatch, I actually had to use the door I made to get my hand inside so they wouldn't escape, and I used my little pipette to start sucking up as many of the dark pupae as I could. Then I put them into a temporary container and I started to film. Thankfully, the pupae hatched within only a few hours of turning black, so it was literally only about an hour of recording till I caught this on camera. Out of nowhere, this pupa here started to straighten out its tail. This makes a little tunnel here for the head of the mosquito to start squeezing out. It's so nasty, but you can see how this area here just keeps inflating. The mosquito is literally being born in front of our eyes, and you can see how it's leaving the clear pupa skin behind. All of a sudden, his little mouth pops out here that they use to suck blood, and soon after, you can see his wings popped out as well.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is insane. Wait, this is happening right now.
Finally, the legs stop sticking to the body, and bada bing, bada boom, that's how a mosquito is born. They'll basically stand here for like half an hour while they wait for their body and wings to harden up.
Unfortunately, I am not allowed to just let this guy fly out. Yeah, when you hatch mosquitoes in your house, it is just illegal to let them escape. So I'm gonna try and move them into this tank, but if I can't do it, I do have this here.
But thankfully, I didn't have to use that since it was super easy to just grab it with tweezers and let it loose in the containment system. W mosquitoes, bro. That was one of the coolest things I have seen.
Well, guys, it's been another few days, and I'm proud to say we have 100+ mosquitoes now. I mean, we got tons just flying around. We got even more just sitting all over the glass. And that's not even to mention all the mosquitoes just hiding around.
Now, I can test these guys with my last 2 mosquito experiments, starting with sticking my hand hand inside of the tank of mosquitoes.
But in addition to my hand going in there, I've also got a couple kinds of mosquito repellent. So we can test if these things actually work. I am definitely about to get bit.
So I started to apply the first mosquito repellent to my arm by spraying it. You see, mosquitoes are insanely attracted to the scent and heat of human skin, but somehow the spray stuff completely blocks all of those and messes with the mosquito senses.
Theoretically, when I stick my hand in there, I shouldn't get bit. Well, I guess let's just do this.
And as I stuck my hand in, I got very nervous. I hate mosquito bites.
They're flying very close, but yeah, I don't think they can even sense that this is a hand right now.
Yeah, I literally left my hand in there another 30 seconds and not a single mosquito even landed on it. When normally they would definitely be swarming it.
Dang, this stuff works good. If you need some mosquito repellent, I recommend this brand. It's not sponsored or anything, but it's pretty good. But now the second mosquito repellent I want to test. Well, you see this app right here? This app claims to literally make a sound that will repel mosquitoes. Oh, do you hear that? It's like a high-pitched buzz. Okay, well, let's see if this works.
Now I've heard these apps are myths, but as I put my hand inside, the mosquitoes weren't instantly swarming it. In fact, they were acting kind of similar to earlier when I was testing the spray stuff, even though I had thoroughly washed it all off my hand. Maybe these apps actually do work. That was until I found this when I took my hand out.
Okay, for a second, I thought this app actually worked. Well, let me turn off this ear-piercing sound. But then I realized I actually got bit, like, right there. Yeah, I can definitely feel it. It's starting to itch and stuff. Don't use these apps, guys. I can assure you they are fake, but I guess this stuff kind of does work.
Anyways, now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. Mosquitoes versus blood.
And yes, I actually have a jar of blood from a cow. Oh my gosh.
Now, in order to make this have a chance to work, I had to fill up this little container with a bunch of blood, and then I put some saran wrap on top. This way, the mosquitoes could stick their little mouthpiece through it and get filled up with blood if they're hungry. Finally, I just warmed it up in the microwave so it would recreate the temperature that mosquitoes like, and I put it inside the tank. Let's see what these mosquitoes do. Now, for the first like 20 minutes, pretty much none of the 100 mosquitoes were interested. They were kind of just hiding around and not moving much, so I kept trying tons of new stuff, like dimming the lights, because apparently mosquitoes don't like to eat under the bright light, and after trying so much stuff and recording for hours, not a singular mosquito tried to eat this blood. In this cool footage, you can see mosquitoes literally only take a couple seconds to land on an arm and get completely filled up with blood. But for some reason, they only like to drink blood from arms, and not just liquid blood apparently, like we have here. Literally all the mosquitoes had gathered up on the other side of the enclosure to avoid it.
Yeah, I literally just tried to record this for 2 days. None of the mosquitoes were interested. I didn't want to have to not upload the video just because the last experiment failed, which was just so interesting to watch, so I had to upload this. Hopefully you guys learned something new and were entertained. And about these mosquitoes, I had to buy this massive freezer to terminate the colony, because that's just legally required after filming with mosquitoes, to ensure none of them escape. So I'm gonna get to doing that, guys, but I guess see you later. Goodbye.
I just found this video where a guy named Coyote Peterson lets a black widow crawl all over his arm. Watching this made me think that maybe black widows weren't as vicious as I thought, and maybe I could keep one as a pet.
I guess this should be the Black Widow. And I genuinely think this is the most venomous pet I've kept on the channel. But anyways, let's go open this up.
So I brought it to my table and opened the package up. After carefully taking out the packing material, I then took out the container that had a Black Widow spider inside.
Oh, nah, here it is. A literal Black Widow. But I did just figure something out, because apparently I didn't order just one of these. If you look down in this box, I actually ordered 2 more. Yeah, apparently I accidentally placed the order for a 3-pack, so now I have 3 Black Widows.
But I wanted to take a closer look, so I opened up a container to let a spider out. And I guess it was a bit dizzy because instantly it fell on its back to reveal that iconic red hourglass shape, which warns you that this spider is nothing to mess around with. It has a potent bite.
Oh, shoot, it's trying to escape. Put it in the container, okay. Whoa. I gotta be more careful with these things, man.
But these 3 spiders aren't gonna spin webs in these tiny containers. They were gonna need a proper enclosure, which I needed to build by first covering a bunch of spray foam with dirt and wood chip stuff to make the background. But in the middle, I put in this rock background and spray foamed normal rocks to it. You see, I'm gonna separate the enclosure into a forest, a cave, and a home interior to see where black widows like to make webs and hunt the most. For the home interior part, I got a piece of styrofoam and painted a brick pattern onto it to, you know, make it it look like a brick wall like a lot of homes have, and so I spray foamed that in, and the background was now complete.
And now we gotta do the web building bases. Basically what that means is we just put sticks and stuff so the spiders can spin their webs in here.
To start, I'm gonna lay down a simple substrate across the entire enclosure that I'll be able to customize to each environment. But first of all, the forest, and as I'm sure you can imagine, we're gonna put some wood in here, just enough on the two sides for a solid web to be made in between. And then I'm even gonna glue some moss coming down from the ends of the branches so it sort of looks like leaves on a tree.
And then I'm gonna get this bag of leaves that I bought, and don't ask me why I didn't just pick them up from outside. I don't know why I bought these.
But anyways, with those, I scattered them along the bottom, so it looked like a forest floor with all the fallen leaves everywhere. And last but not least, I got some tiny rocks and scattered them around too. Just a few, because I gotta save most for the cave. And speaking of the cave, we're gonna start right away by laying down some rocks, because that's pretty much all they got. But as you can see in this photo, there's actually a bunch of these pointy rocks called stalagmites. And I think they would work perfectly in my enclosure, so let me get some.
Alright, so I've got a big rock and a hammer right there, so I guess let me just try to carve some of those stalagmites out of this. So I guess I'll just go and try and hit it. I don't really know if this is gonna work, but it's gonna break. Hello?
Eventually, after a bit of hitting, I got a few pieces that when connected sorta looked like stalagmites, so I went and attached them together with spray foam. And then using more spray foam, I stuck them all into place pointing up in the cave section of the enclosure. Finally, I went and sprinkled some normal colored rocks around and then some different colored rocks around because, yeah, we literally just put rocks everywhere for this section.
Alright, once this spray foam dries, I'm gonna go in and paint it, but for now, let's work on the home interior section. And to start, I've got this carpet-like material, which I'm gonna cut out to shape, and then I'm just gonna go and put it in there, and boom.
Now I need to get some mini home furniture in here that the spider will be able to spin his webs from.
And my only idea for how I can get that is to build it with some Legos. So yeah, let's get building, baby.
First of all, using black bricks, I stacked them up to make this little lampshade thing. Then with some red bricks, I made a tiny little couch. Now a chair made of brown bricks. Finally, I just took the rest of my bricks to make a randomly color assorted red and white shelf. Yeah, I'm a master builder, as you can tell. Anyways, I went and put each of those inside and even got some little dollhouse furniture to fill in the dead space, and boom, shakalaka. That's what I call a home house interior. I know a lot of black widows love to live inside houses, so one of them should definitely like this place.
But the next step on the list is to get some plants.
Put the two land plants in the forest section, which as you can see, I ended up getting a beautiful red plant to match the red on black widows. Then I took apart the plant from Home Depot and glued the vines coming down from the top of the cave section. Finally, I glued some more moss all along the forest section because I felt like it wasn't green enough. And then I added a bit of this dead type of fern moss along parts of the cave because I felt like it matched pretty well.
Oh, and I almost forgot the most important part, the stupid AI generated pictures for the house interior.
So I cut them out and glued them along sides of the brick wall. There were many great works of art, like a black widow flying in the sky with wings, a black widow dancing in a disco room, and a black widow eating a male after mating, which yes, they actually do that in the wild. Now you see in the wild, black widows are actually cannibals towards other female black widows, which means my 3 black widows cannot be able to access each other, or, you know, they'd probably eat each other.
So I've got these acrylic sheets, which should act as good separators.
So I went and measured them to size and then cut them out.
There we go, that fits perfectly. And now last but not least, I'm gonna put in one of these reptile foggers.
Basically, when you turn this dial, it spits a bunch of fog out the end of this tube. Black widows love a high humidity to make their webs, so this should encourage them to do that quickly. And well, I would say this enclosure is now 100% complete, but that does mean I gotta actually let the black widows loose in here, which I'm kind of scared to do, but let's just do it.
And as you can see, I've got the 3 black widows in their own little containers. So I've got the first one. Let's let this guy loose into the forest. Then I'm gonna put the second one into the cave section like that. Then finally, the third black widow in the home interior section.
And while all the spiders were now in their new home, I took an interest to the one in the forest area. You see, this one immediately started to crawl all around her new home and even made her way up to the roof of the enclosure. There on the roof, you can see she started to walk walk around with a little strand of silk coming out the end of the abdomen. She was already building a web. Spiders, of course, do this to catch prey, and black widows in specific have some of the strongest silk out of any spider, which is somehow produced in these little silk glands that they have. Anyways, I left the black widow to continue with that, and the next day I came back and opened up the top of the enclosure. You could see the area where she was constructing the web, and now she was hiding in this little crevice.
So much for building this enclosure. I built all this forest area just for the spider to make her web right in this little area. Well, at least she has something, because that means now I can try and feed her a bunch of different types of food to see which they like the most, starting with mealworms.
Now I wanted to start small, and as you can see, these mealworms I bought are absolutely minuscule. They're barely the size of the tip of my finger, but hopefully the spider will still like them. Using some tweezers, I dropped a mealworm straight into the spider's web, and immediately it started to squirm around to try and escape. But spider webs are specifically designed to keep little insects like this stuck in them. All the wiggling around made the black widow come awake, and soon it even crawled out, only to walk right by the mealworm and run away. In fact, this black widow tried to make a grand escape and even webbed down the side of my table onto the floor.
Oh, no, do not go under the table, do not go under the table.
Anyways, I ended up scooping it into a container where I then dropped another mealworm in front of him, and once again, he didn't want to eat it.
Okay, well clearly this black widow's not trying to eat any mealworms, so instead I've got a bag of some tiny little crickets.
And these I'm gonna feed to the second black widow in the cave area. Now, if you remember, I put this spider in the enclosure on this little plastic lid where I already had a web. And since putting it in 2 days ago, it still hasn't moved at all. It might be dead actually. But anyways, I put in some crickets to see if it would eat. And literally right away, one of the crickets jumped towards the spider and jolted him awake, which I guess was a good sign because the spider was now finally moving. But when I tried to bring the cricket back, it scared the spider and it ran away into the cave. I almost lost track of the spider until I came across her again on top of the enclosure where she had somehow escaped to. I tried to feed her a cricket once again, but she just was not having it, so I scooped her back into the plastic container.
Well, it looks like this black widow is also not eating, which usually would mean I would go test the third and final food source, which was gonna be just crickets, but a bit bigger. But I kind of have bad news because I don't really have a spider to feed these to.
Yes, you heard that right. Since putting the third spider into the house interior section 2 days ago, I haven't seen it at all. It literally escaped my enclosure. And now, not only did I have one missing, but I also had 2 more that weren't eating.
This is genuinely the worst idea I've had for a video. Like, pet black widow. Like, what am I thinking? One is escaped and is literally crawling around my garage. There's only one way I can make this up for the content. I gotta let the black widow crawl on my arm, just like I saw Coyote Peterson do at the start of the video. So, let's not waste any time. Let me get my mom in here. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
All right, I'm bringing you in here today because I got a special job for you. As you know, I always keep the weirdest pets. And can you guess what pet's in here based off the decorations?
Oh my gosh. Is it a black widow?
Yeah, it's a black widow.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you see those paintings on the wall?
Yeah, I do.
A black widow? Isn't that cool?
No.
Why? Okay, I got them onto this little tray for you. And basically, you can see it right there. What do you think?
No.
Say hi.
No. I wouldn't keep that as a pet.
Why? It's cute. Well, I did say I have a job for you. So can you hold the camera?
Oh my gosh, you are not gonna put this on you.
Here, hold the camera. All right, as you see, we got the black widow in a nice little clear container. And I'm just gonna start by literally putting it on my sleeve like this until it crawls out.
You see, the plan is to have it crawl onto my sleeve, and then from there, it'll crawl onto my hand. So I basically just waited until it started to crawl out.
I have to be super calm right now.
But as you could have guessed, of course things went wrong. Because as you can see, it just started to grasp onto the edge of the container and not let go at all. I was probably making it pretty mad, so I quickly transferred it to a piece of cardboard.
Okay, so I decided to just put them onto a piece of cardboard, and I'll let them crawl out here.
And after gathering together a bunch of courage, I just moved the cardboard in front of my hand to let it happen.
Okay, I'm gonna do it in 3, 2, 1.
Lord Father, Jesus, please. Oh God, Lord Father, please. Okay, it's time to go off. It's time to go off, Lord Father.
Oh,
Oh, that was so nerve-wracking. Oh my gosh, how did you feel doing that?
the heart was going 500 beats a second.
Well, there you have it. Probably the stupidest. Have a good day, or night, or afternoon, or morning, and goodbye, and subscribe too.
These are the most exotic insects in the world, and I have 7 of them that I'll be building homes for and showcasing their coolest abilities. To start off, the first insect I have is this giant Asian mantis. Despite looking absolutely majestic, this is secretly a monster that devours its prey while it's still alive. But to be able to see that, I need to recreate her natural environment in this little enclosure. So I built it up with all sorts of stuff like bark and moss, and soon enough, it was complete and ready for the mantis. Now, mantises actually have these little sharp spikes all over their legs, which allows them to grip onto very smooth surfaces like this glass. And because this mantis is so beautiful, I'm gonna name her something beautiful to match. So everyone, please say hello to Birchroot. But Birchroot wasn't the only thing alive in this enclosure, as just earlier I had put a couple crickets inside. Immediately after, Birchroot sensed them and rushed in towards the prey with killer instincts. Seconds later, the cricket was now getting crushed by Birchroot's claws and ripped apart by her alien mouth. But whilst the mantis was enjoying her meal, another cricket walked by. So she snatched that up and started to eat 2 crickets at once. Clearly, she was pretty hungry. Now, Birchroot has got to be one of the coolest insects I've ever seen. Like, seriously, she looks like King Kong right now. But there are still 6 more insane insect species I'm gonna be showing off in this video, including a cow killer that is known to have one of the most painful stings in the entire world, and I'm gonna be holding it. Yeah. But before getting to the cow killer, let's say hello to insect number 2, a metallic stag beetle. Now this is straight up an exotic insect. I mean, it literally looks like it's from the future. This species has some of the largest mandibles out of any beetle species. And honestly, those big sharp mandibles make me too scared to pick it up. So instead, I just picked it up with this plastic lid. For its enclosure, I'm using this 14 by 8 inch tank. And watch this, when I clap my hands in front of the terrarium, it's gonna be instantly built. 3, 2, 1... boom! Now that's a super clean transition. As you can see, there's tons of stuff in here like bark and sphagnum moss that will be perfect for the beetle to hide under. And speaking of the beetle, I of course need to give this guy a name. And since, you know, it's the best and coolest beetle ever, I'm gonna name him Paul McCartney. Because, you know, I just feel like that name fits him pretty well. You know, he looks like a Paul. Anyways, despite Paul having these absolutely massive mandibles, he doesn't even use them to eat prey because he's a boring herbivore. So to feed him, I just got an orange and put it inside. I also put some of this beetle jelly because I think they like eating this too. But Paul is a male beetle and he looks pretty lonely if I'm being honest. So I also got this female of the same species that is honestly a lot uglier than Paul because she doesn't even have those cool mandibles, but I put her in anyways and soon she started to wander around. Eventually, she even climbed onto Paul's back while he was sleeping, which seemed to annoy him and he got up and walked away. Not a great start to these beetles' relationship, but I'm sure Paul and this new female will eventually enjoy their home together and might even have little beetle babies. Aww. And remember, later I'm gonna be picking up a cow killer wasp, which is said to have a sting strong enough to kill a literal cow. Ooh. I hope it doesn't sting me. Anyways, as you know, we still have more exotic insects to showcase. And for this next insect, let's play a little game. When I move my camera down, you have 3 seconds to find an insect in the frame. Let's go. And did you find it? Well, probably not, because this insect actually has a very special disguise. Scattered around here is a species of insect called Phyllium philippinicums, commonly known as leaf insects. Anyways, I don't have much to say about these guys. I just think it's pretty funny how over millions of years they've evolved to look like a leaf. Bruh. I mean, they could have evolved to have huge teeth and claws and stingers, but no. They evolved to look like a leaf. Now for their home, I got this glass terrarium that's a bit bigger since we have 4 of these bad boys, which will all eventually grow to be about 5 times as big, so I needed a lot of space. I wanted to make this look like a plains biome, so I got some artificial grass, and I also put a bunch of tree branches all around the tank, so the leaf insects could pretend to be leaves, just like they were born to do. Welcome to your new home, boys. I hope you like it. Or girls. I don't know if they're boys or girls. Most of the little leaves were just walking around and enjoying themselves, but a couple of the leaf insects started praising to the gods or something by raising their hands in the air and doing some sort of ritual. Anyways, these guys' diet consists mostly of themselves. And by that, I mean they eat leaves. So yeah, they're basically cannibals. But their absolute favorite food is blackberries. So of course, I put some of those around the tank. Well, this is pretty good. I think these leaves are gonna live a fantastical life in here. Moving on to the fourth insect, we got a fierce apex predator. Not only does this insect have fangs, but he also injects a potent venom into anything it bites. Everyone say hello to one of my jumping spiders. Now, yes, technically by definition, this isn't an insect, but by my definition of an insect, it is. So, don't comment about it. Now, I'm not gonna pick up this guy with my hands because they're super fast and he'd probably just jump off my hand and go hide under the couch or something, and I don't want that. So, I'm just gonna speed run his new home real quick with tons of places for him to jump around, and boom. Let's get this little guy into here. These spiders are actually one of the coolest species because most of them have the ability to eat prey up to 3 times their own size. So of course I had to challenge my jumping spider by dropping in a few pretty decently sized crickets. Immediately the jumping spider hit on this piece of wood, seemingly waiting for the perfect moment to strike a cricket. But the funny thing was that he never actually did any attacking. If anything, the jumping spider was actually afraid of the crickets because every time he saw one, he got startled and slowly walked backwards. It was actually pretty funny. So to feed him, I got a couple smaller crickets and put those inside hoping he would eat those, but it kind of still seemed like he was scared of those as well. Well, I guess this guy's just not hungry right now, so in the future, if he still doesn't eat any crickets, I'll try feeding him some smaller worms and stuff. But for now, let's move on. I've been saving the best insects for last, and coming up soon, I'll be holding the cow killer wasp, which of course is the deadliest insect out of all of them. But first, for insect number 5, let's play another game. I'm gonna build this enclosure just like this. And as you can see, I built a nice little dirt enclosure with wood and moss. So now, can you guess what I'm gonna put in here based off of the enclosure? Your options are A, a shark, B, a dog, or C, an earthworm. The answer is... If you guessed shark, you were actually wrong. The actual answer is none of these. It's D, a millipede. And yeah, technically, once again, this isn't an insect, but don't worry about it. This species in specific is a pink-toed millipede, which to be honest, I don't know why it's called that because its toes are not pink. I mean, it doesn't even have toes. If anything, it should be called a orange leg millipede, but whatever. Despite it being kind of disgusting looking, I built up enough courage to pick it up onto my arm and move it into its enclosure.
Oh nah, this feels so weird crawling on me. What the heck? I swear this is actually like stinging me right now. What the heck? This feels so weird. Yeah, get off of me.
You see, millipedes have hundreds of legs, which helps them grip onto stuff and allows them to even walk upside down. Okay, maybe it's not that cool. Now, unfortunately for this video, millipedes are the most boring eaters ever, and basically just only eat decaying matter. So I'm just gonna put some blackberries in here and, yeah, call it a day. Enjoy your home, little guy. Now for insect number 6, which actually happens to be one of our most unique ones. You see, all of the other insects I've showed live on land. Well, this one actually lives under the water. These are banded diving beetles. And despite looking, kinda lame, they are actually carnivorous killers that will eat prey way bigger than themselves. For its tank, I got this 10-gallon aquarium, and basically I'm just gonna fill it up with substrate, aquatic plants, and finally some water. Now the best things about these guys is that they don't even need a water filter since they are much less affected by variability in nitrogen or phosphorus concentration because they do not breathe. So yeah, let's put them in. The little beetles were shy to come out at first, but eventually the tank was swarming with all 7 of them. The way they swim is honestly just really cool because they got these little legs and stuff that they propel themselves with, which I guess is just kind of normal and not that cool, but now I want to show you guys how these beetles eat prey. So to do that, I got some mealworms and dropped them in the water. After a few minutes, amazingly, a beetle stumbled across a worm. So he grabbed it with his legs and pulled it all the way up to the surface of the water. When he got there, he started to absolutely devour the mealworm by sucking the life out of it. A couple more of the aquatic beetles found some more mealworms, so soon enough, the entire tank was feeding on these guys. The next day, I came back to find these little lifeless mealworm exoskeletons laying around the floor. Clearly, the beetles had enjoyed their meals. Now, this is the moment we have all been waiting for, the 7th insect, a cow killer. Well, this is just a box, but inside of it, the cow killer awaits. Now, the actual name of this is a velvet ant, but the legend has it that its sting is strong enough to kill a literal cow. Hence why people call it the cow killer. And I'm about to have it crawl on my bare skin. But before that, I need to have its enclosure finished, so I have a place to, put it so it's not just stuck crawling on my arm. These guys live in the deserts and the wild, so I'm gonna quickly recreate that here by doing another super cool transition. Watch this. As I squeeze my hands in, the desert magically appears. Wow, okay.
I'm just kidding.
What I actually did was went onto Facebook Marketplace where I could buy a bunch of stuff for super cheap.
Okay, so I've searched up terrarium on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm not really finding anything good for under $10. I mean, seriously, look at these. This one's $40. Bro, who built this? This thing's trash. It literally just has grass and leaves. $40? That's a scam. Okay, instead I'm gonna search up jar because I might be able to find something I can use. And oh yeah, these are more in my budget. Okay, this one might work well. 3 sort of new jars. They're apparently in excellent condition, but one has a giant crack in it. I don't know if that's excellent. Yeah, I mean, I could probably make like leaf scud out of this and stuff. I don't know. Let me just go buy it. Okay, so I met up with the guy and gave him the $5 bill, And of course, now I got the jars. Oh, that did not sound good.
And because I had multiple jars, I got the idea to build a different biome in each one.
Like, what if in this one I built a forest, this one I built a desert, and then in this one I built a lake? I mean, if I built a lake, it'd be more of an aquarium than a terrarium, but whatever.
So that's what I planned on doing. And then at the end, I'd be able to compare the $10 biomes with the $1,000 ecosystem to see which was better.
Okay, so I'm gonna create this first jar into a forest. And to do that, I'm gonna need some basic materials like dirt, wood, rocks, and plants. The problem is, though, that we only have $5 to turn all of these jars into terrariums. And literally just a bag of dirt is over $10. Ooh, that's not good. But thankfully for me, dirt is actually free if we just, walk outside. Oh yeah, look at this quality dirt right here. Let me just, dig this up. All right, the dirt has been acquired. But before putting it in, I have to make a drainage layer in this jar first because that's just what terrariums need. But thankfully, that can be done easily again by just walking outside and picking up some rocks. All right, I put the rocks in, but now typically you'd use some sort of material like this window screen to separate the drainage layer from the substrate. But of course, window screen is definitely not in our budget, so we're gonna have to think of another alternative.
So I did some searching around outside, hoping I could find something.
Okay, I guess there's some plastic here. Wait, this could actually work. Has some like Chinese on it. I don't know what this says, but okay, wait, let me see if I can use this.
And as the saying goes, one man's trash is another man's terrarium substrate separator. I poked some holes in the plastic to allow water to pass through, and that let me put the dirt on top.
And there we go, the base of the forest terrarium is finished.
But obviously this is not a forest, it's just dirt. So in order to make it a forest, I needed to add in some decorations, which just meant I had to go outside again and pick up more stuff. Yeah, that's kind of what this entire forest build is.
As you can see, we got all sorts of supplies, which is gonna allow me to customize my terrarium to my artistic liking. And wait, look at this plant here. The roots on this one looks like it's growing some sort of vegetable or something. Wait, is this like a radish or a green onion? Wait, does it taste like one? Oh, it does not taste like one.
Anyways, I put the decorations in the build.
All right, now time for the grand reveal of this forest. Let's move this down and oh yeah, look at this.
Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but at least it looks pretty good for being basically free. Now, there's just one more thing to do to finish this little forest, and that's to add some life into it. Now, it'd be cool to add like a frog or something in here, but yeah, this is probably not big enough for a frog, so I'm gonna have to settle for something I find outside again.
Now, to be honest, I'll just settle for like an earthworm or something. Oh, wait, I see something right there. Wait, do you see that? Oh. Wait, bro, there's a cricket. Okay, wait, this is even better than a worm.
So I picked up the cricket and put him into his new home.
All right, and the cricket is in there. Can you see it in there? It's kind of hard to see, but it's right there.
The forest was now complete, and to finish off the $10 builds, I still needed to make the desert and a lake, which will be a lot more interesting to build, since I won't be able to just find the materials right outside my house. But before building those, the package for my $1,000 terrarium just arrived, so I'm gonna start building that first.
Okay, this is pretty heavy, but I think I got it. There we go. That is the box, So let me open this up, and I swear, if this thing is not already put together, I'm gonna be very mad because I do not want to build this from scratch. Oh no, I don't think this is put together. Yeah, it's definitely not. There's just glass panes here. Okay, there goes 2 hours probably.
2 hours later.
And along with the tank, I also did buy a bunch of supplies, about $395.87 worth of supplies, which are right here. But to start off the build, we basically got to get rid of all of this stuff. So, because the first step for building this terrarium is to put this little water filter chamber thing that I built into it.
For this $1,000 build, I'm going all out, and I'm making an entire chunk of the rainforest with a working river running through it. And this will let me filter the water and allow fish to live in there. So to build this thing, I first sprayed the entire back of the glass with some silicone, which will allow me to put tree branches sticking out on it. To keep the wood in place, I used some spray foam to do some more spraying. And finally, I stuck a bunch of dirt all along the back so it looked more natural.
All right, look at this thing. This thing is actually enormous. This is like as tall as me. And don't worry about this being ugly right now, because later on, I'm gonna add a ton of plants here to make this actually look good. But for now, we're gonna focus on the floor area, because right now, I'm gonna make this into a river.
To make it, I first glued in a piece of foam to easily separate the land and water areas. Then I got a ton of rocks and wood to create a natural looking underwater environment, because you know, there's usually rocks and wood underwater.
All right, there we go. That is done now. So let's finish that underwater area look and add some sand in, because you know, you need sand to make an underwater section. Okay, now that the floor and the water portion's done, let's get to the floor and the land portion. For this, I'm gonna be mostly using these Leica balls. Honestly, these kind of look like cocoa pebbles, but I think I learned my lesson. Now, to complete this floor area, I need to put a layer of substrate on top of it.
But before doing that, I used this pump to do some plumbing and create a tube that will allow the river to actually have a working water flow. Then finally, I added the dirt on top to finish the floor area. All right, now there's just 2 more things to finish this build. 1 to add water, and 2 to add plants. And thankfully I can do that first one pretty quickly, just like this.
So now I want to test if the water flow actually works to see if we can actually turn this into a river. All right, so let me plug this thing in, and this better work. I spent like the past 2 hours doing this, and oh, okay, so it's working, but the water flow is very extreme, and it's kind of messing up the sand. Okay, this is just making the water very dirty right now. Can you stop doing that?
So to fix the issue, I got some tape to try and make the end of the tube more narrow.
Oh, nah. Oh, nope, that is not working. Oh, no. Taping it does not work. Oh my god.
Now in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have been doing that right next to the power strip, but thankfully my house didn't explode. Anyways, eventually I got the water flow working and the $1,000 terrarium was starting to come together pretty nicely.
But since things aren't going too well for this right now, I'm gonna take a break and just move on to the $10 terrariums. All right, so we're moving from this beautiful $1,000 build over back to the minuscule $10 builds. And as you know, the forest build is already done, so we're moving on to the desert build now. Now for the drainage layer of this, we can do the same thing we did in the forest and just go get some rocks. But now this is where things get tricky, because I can't really just go outside and get sand, because I basically live in the middle of not a desert. You know, there's trees outside and stuff. So that means the only way I can get some sand is if I buy it. I don't know if there's actually gonna be any sand under $5 that I could buy. Let me just search it up anyways, and oh, that's not good. And wait, $2 for sand. Oh my gosh, it's not even lying, $3 for sand. Okay, that is actually so good. I can actually get some sand now. Well, I guess let me go to Betco. I'll be there soon.
Thankfully, it was still in stock when I got there, so I bought that, and then I poured it in the jar.
Now, similar to the forest terrarium that we built earlier, we're gonna need plants for this desert one. Now, ideally, we get a nice cactus in this thing. I think that'd look pretty cool. The only problem is, as you know, our budget is lacking a little bit. Okay, well, maybe there's a chance I can buy a cactus for super cheap. Cactus near me. And yeah, $1,000, $200 for a cactus. Wait, there's actually one for $1. Wait, what? Okay, wait, this is actually good. I can buy a cactus for $1. That fits in our budget. It's at this store called Michael's. I've never even heard of that, but $1. I guess I'm going to Michael's.
So I went there, and they had some absolutely fantastical cacti to choose from. So I got myself this.
This massive cactus was only $1. Dang, I've like literally never heard of Michael's. There was no cars in the parking lot. Guys, you need to go to Michael's. They got some fantastical deals there. All right, let's get this in here. I'm gonna dig out a little hole with my golden spoon. Don't ask why it's golden.
And so I added the cactus in, and the desert build was now complete. But to fully finish the terrarium, I once again needed to add life into it. And since I wouldn't be able to buy anything with my 71-cent budget, I got the idea to put a worm in there from outside to act as a sandworm. Because, you know, I didn't really have any other options.
All right, let's put this sandworm in his home, and there we go. The desert build is now finished. I hope you enjoy your new life, little boy. Okay, so I was planning on moving straight to building the lake right after this. But you remember how I got this cactus at Michael's or Michelle? I don't remember what it was called, but you know how I got this cactus? Well, while I was there, I also got pretty much all the plants we're gonna need for this $1,000 build for a pretty good price. It barely even made a dent in our budget. So I'm gonna go and put these in right now, I guess. And oh shoot. Oh, that is not good. While I was putting all that spray foam on the back, I was supposed to also put these little plant pots there, but I forgot, so this is gonna be a lot harder to put the plants in the bin.
But thankfully, I'm a genius, and I used my hot glue gun to glue all the plant pots on the back of the wall. Then I was able to put all the plants in the pots. I even got some aquatic plants to put in the water area to fully round off everything in this $1,000 build.
Now, some people may say these very obviously black pots put all around the terrarium is ugly, and well, to those people, I say that you are probably right. This is pretty ugly. But I guess this is the downside of the $1,000 build. It's too complex to make.
Well, anyways, to complete this terrarium, I needed to add life into it, which I was gonna do by adding in fish. But before doing that, I want to finish the $10 terrariums.
All right, the first two terrariums are done. Now we just gotta focus on this last one, which of course is gonna be the lake. Now, I bet some of you have probably been wondering, how on earth am I gonna turn this into a lake? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. Let me show you how we're gonna do it. We're just gonna take this, we're gonna take it out to my car, buckle it in, and drive.
Now, you see, I figured the best way to make a lake terrarium is to just go to an actual lake and scoop up the sand and water. That way, I wouldn't have to worry about our lack of money.
All right, I've made it. I mean, it's not a lake, it's a river, but no, it's gonna have to do. And this is very embarrassing. I really hope someone doesn't see me trying to pick up this water and put it in my jar. Okay, I have Serrate around me. No one's near me. I have time to get this water, baby. Give me this water.
So I collected all the water I needed and also scooped up some of the dirt so I could bring it home. So I added everything in and the lake ended up looking like this. Yeah, not very appealing. Well, there wasn't much I could do. So anyways, I needed to add life into it. And this was actually gonna be pretty easy because a few videos back, I built a lake ecosystem on my desk. And in that video, I put some albino mystery snails into it. And just recently, they had babies. So I'm just gonna yoink this guy and put him into his new home.
Do you even see it in there? It's there, I think. Wait, no, I think it's there. I can't even tell where it is. I think it might be dead.
The $10 builds were all completely finished, but don't leave yet, as now I'm adding the most coolest, epicest, super cool life into the $1,000 build. Guppies.
Okay, to you, maybe they're not the coolest fish ever, but to me, I mean, they look pretty cool. They got spots and fins and, okay, you know, let's just add them in.
So I put some of this API quick start bacteria in, so it would be safe to add the fish whilst the cycling process took place. And immediately, you could tell they absolutely loved their new home. Well, I can't say that they loved it for sure, but I mean, they were swimming around and stuff, so they probably did. I even turned on the river flow to see how they would react. Most of them seemed pretty annoyed, but one of them kept playing around in it and flinging himself around the river.
The $1,000 terrarium and $10 terrariums are now all finished. Are the $10 terrariums better, or is the $1,000 terrarium better? And well, the answer is pretty obvious. The $1,000 terrarium is better. But you do gotta remember, this is literally $1,000. Like, literally, you could replace this with a used car, or, okay, maybe not a car.